Jessica Gallagher will be laid to rest after 11 o'clock funeral mass at St Michael's Church in Creeslough. 49-year-old Martin McGill's funeral mass will be held tomorrow also at St Michael's Church in Creeslough at 2 p.m, while 48-year-old James O'Flaherty will be buried in Maharagallen Cemetery following funeral mass on Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock. The arrangements of the other victims are yet to be announced. One man remains in a critical condition in St James's Hospital in Dublin, while others remain in a stable condition in Letterkenny University Hospital. The post-mortems of the 10 victims will take place this week. Vigils were held across the county last night in honour of those who died in the explosion. More are due to take place this evening. These people attended the evening prayers last night and say they can't describe the impact of the disaster on the village.
Oh, we're just
just shocked. Do you feel useless?
You just feel like,
don't you?
This words just can't describe, really, how we feel, how the town feels. It's just never be the same again. Never be the same. Like, we have girls up there, like sisters to us, to everybody, and brothers, and, even then they nearly know what you're going to buy. May they all rest in peace.
Meanwhile, An Post is paying tribute to staff working at the post office in Creeslough. It's put in place alternative post office services at Kilmacrennan Post Office, which will be available from 11 o'clock this morning. A Creeslough Community Support Fund has been set up by An Post in conjunction with the Irish Red Cross to help people affected by last Friday's tragic events. Anna McHugh, head of corporate communications at An Post, says people can donate at every post office across the country.
On behalf of us all in An Post, we express our condolences and send our thoughts and prayers to all of the community in Creeslough. At every post office, people can donate to a Creeslough Community Support Fund, which we're linking with the Irish Red Cross to ensure that all funds will go directly to local services.
A man's body was found in Maharorty on Friday afternoon. Gardaí say they attended an incident that occurred in the Maharorty area. A man was pronounced dead at the scene. His body was removed to Letterkenny University Hospital, where a post-mortem was due to take place. And police in Derry say they are concerned for the safety of a teenager who has been missing since Friday last. Ryan Moore was last seen in the Gallia area of the city at around 6:30. He's believed to have been wearing a grey Adidas tracksuit and a grey night coat. If anyone has any information, they are asked to contact police on the non-emergency number 101. For weather now, today will be partly cloudy with some sunny spells and a few passing showers. Feeling quite cold with highs of 11 to 13 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
You're all living your best lives now, aren't you?
That's right. Andrea got a new car with heated everything. Greg's finally having his horse-themed wedding. I'm getting the bathroom redone. It's a waterfall rain shower.
This mightn't be your life, but with a loan from An Post Money, you can live your best life with Ireland's lowest rate on loans over 20k. Apply now at onpost.com/loans. An Post Money, your money for your world. Lending criteria, T's and C's apply. New applications only. Info correct July 14, 2022. Source CCPC for Ireland's lowest rate. An Post acts as a credit intermediary on behalf of Avantcard DAC. An Post trading as An Post Money is authorised as a credit intermediary by the CCPC. Avantcard DAC trading as Avant Money is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and you're welcome to the 9 till noon show this Monday, the 10th of October 2022. It is 4 minutes past 9 and this is a Monday really like no other, isn't it? Shortly after the show ended last Friday, the unimaginable happened shortly after 3 p.m. as people were going about their daily business. A massive explosion occurred in Creeslough with devastating consequences. 10 lives were lost. 48-year-old James O'Flaherty, 24-year-old Jessica Gallagher, Martin McGill, who was 49, Catherine O'Donnell, 39, and her lovely son James Monaghan, 13, Hugh Kelly, 59, Martina Martin, 49 years of age, Robert Garvey was 50, his daughter Shauna Flanagan Garvey, just 5 years of age. What a beautiful little girl, as was a beautiful young teenager, Leona Harper, just 14 years of age. Those are the names of members of our families, our friends, our neighbours and our communities. The pain is, as I said, it's unimaginable. But over the last few days, we've also seen the outpouring of love and support, people coming together to do what they can. The families of victims even finding time in their grief to thank those who helped return the bodies of their loved ones back into the loving arms of their families and, of course, the community. We think on the 8 people injured as well, particularly one man in his 20s, seriously ill in hospital in Dublin, and the Lafferty family who run the shop. What must they be going through? And everyone else touched by the tragedy. Some had just left the shop that afternoon. Some were on the way there. Others just happened to be in a different part of the shop and survived. I spoke to them, some of them on Friday evening. It almost be very difficult to process. People asking why. Thousands of us gathered yesterday and will again at vigils and prayers and other events across the region and far beyond Australia and elsewhere. I know that will bring some comfort, as it did to me, for me and my family. There's far more, let's not forget, that unites us than divides us. There's no rule book with how we'll conduct the next 3 hours on this show. I want to be respectful, but I don't want to encroach on people's grief either. We might talk about other things. We also need to give family space to grieve, don't we? So if we aren't talking about the awful events of Creeslough, rest assured we are thinking about them. But if you have an input, if you want to say something or contribute something, even suggest a piece of music, maybe we'll find more space for some music today. Whatever you feel, then text the programme on the usual numbers 086 60 25,000 or call 074 91 25,000, and you can email the show as well, comments at highlandradio.com. As I say, just anything that you want to share a memory or pass some information on or thank someone or whatever it is. You know how to get in contact with us. Those are the numbers. You can also watch the programme here, as you can every day, of course, on our website, highlandradio.com. Click Watch Live. Text to WhatsApp, as I mentioned. It's been a horrendous weekend for all of us. I've already said that. But what you can do is go to our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland, and watch us there or across our Facebook pages. And as I say, feel free to contribute as you want. Okay, let's look at the front of the newspapers today. And of course, they're dominated by the one story, the Derry News. The heart of the tight-knit Donegal village of Creeslough has been shattered into thousands of pieces following the explosion, which ripped through the local Applegreen complex. The blast happened at approximately 3:15 on Friday. Following an extensive search and rescue operation at the scene, Garda Síochána confirmed the names of the 10 people who tragically lost their lives, and I mentioned them there. And I was just thinking too, in the immediate, the emergency services were very quick to the scene. And the Gardaí continued to investigate what may have caused the explosion. I think one of the theories is that it was a gas leak in an apartment. But obviously that work is ongoing and will continue to. But after that explosion, the whole space was devastated. Obviously, it had a huge impact on the shop beneath the apartments and the service station in that courtyard to the front of it. And this is a petrol station with petrol and diesel and all that type of stuff. And locals were there straight away, and from what I was told on Friday and on Saturday morning, they didn't consider any threat to themselves, from what could have happened, any subsequent explosions or what have you. They really, in a very organised way, found it from somewhere amazing, really, to start trying to rescue people. And obviously the emergency services, I was told, were there within 10 minutes, and they were straight into it as well, working on a site, as I say, that is the site of a petrol station. And I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but you would imagine, there has to be at some point some risk that there could have been a secondary explosion. Thankfully, that didn't happen, and I'm sure that's down to the expert way fuel and what have you we stored. But not everyone would have known that in the heat of the moment, and they went in there as best they could. The locals in the first instance to try and rescue people, and then the emergency services that followed, and then working with a structure that was very unsafe, of course, not knowing what piece of masonry or slab flooring or what have you could come down next. Really, truly remarkable in that moment to just be able to park any, concerns for their own safety and to try and help others. And as I say, that's just something that came to my mind late last night. Okay, let us go to the Donegal News. Post-mortems have commenced on the 10 victims of Friday's explosion in Creeslough with the consent of each family. Gardaí released details and photos yesterday of those who perished. They paint a picture of ordinary people going about their lives on a busy Friday afternoon, but what should have been an average day ahead of the weekend resulted in absolute devastation. The youngest of those who died was Shauna Flanagan Garvey. She was just 5 and lost her life alongside her father, Robert Garvey. And mentioned the other victims, and their names will be mentioned, of course, throughout the course of this morning. The Irish Independent, they referenced the vigils that took place across, it wasn't just across the vigils were held in Donegal Town, Ballyshannon, Gweedore. If they haven't, they already will. Strabane. I know there was one organised, as I mentioned, in Australia. Others being arranged for various parts of the world. It really is quite remarkable how this story has not only impacted us and touched us here in the local community, but far beyond across the country. And we've had even prayers from the Pope. I might read his statement a little later on in the programme as well. But vigils were held across County Donegal last night in memory of the 10 people who lost their lives in the Creeslough tragedy. In Downings, a neighbouring community at Creeslough, hundreds of people gathered at the GAA pitch to pay their respects. Among them were the young sons of Martina Martin, one of the mothers who died in the explosion. And I was at that particular vigil, and the 2 young lads, the mum will be so proud, the whole family will be so proud. They held themselves with such dignity, and hopefully they got comfort from the huge turnout of people who just wanted to be with others and with the families. And as I say, that's the vigil I managed to get to yesterday. But of course, that sense was reflected right across the county, don't you know? Many were there to remember Hugh Kelly, a native of Downings, who has also lost his life in the blast. Local man Brian Boyce said, "I was very emotional. It's just a terrible tragedy for the area. This is going to be felt for a long time here. It's just something that's so hard to make sense of when it comes to your area." But they all did very well, as I'm sure all the speakers did at the various vigils in such difficult circumstances. The Irish Daily Mail says that the people of Creeslough were told yesterday, "You are changed, but you will survive this." Psychologist Niamh Fitzpatrick said, "You will be imprinted by this catastrophic loss." What I mean by that is you're changed by it. What's going to happen is, over time, you will accommodate the loss into your own lives, but will always honour them and remember them as a community. You will always bring these people with you, which is important words, perhaps. On to now the Irish Daily Star. A Garda leader who was one of the first responders to the Creeslough tragedy fought back tears yesterday as he paid tribute to the emergency services who battled to save lives at the scene. "I saw people act with the utmost professionalism and treat the victims with such dignity and respect," Garda Brendan O'Connor said. Dunfanaghy-based Garda O'Connor, who is president of the Garda Representative Association that represents some 11,500 rank and file members of the force, was on duty on Friday and was involved in the rescue operation. The officer was still at the scene of the tragedy yesterday and told the Star that the dedication of all the emergency services who rushed to the scene was phenomenal. And we put together a show at short notice on Saturday where we spoke to Sean Murphy from the hospital and others that were dealing with and responding to this, the emergency services, you know, and the point was made, and it's one to remember as well, I don't think you can overstate it, was that, you know, a lot of the people that responded to that, the voluntary groups, the mountain rescue, the local fire services, these are just, you know, not just people, they're incredibly well trained, incredibly well dedicated, but they are on call. And they were going to a scene where people that they knew was there. It was the same in the hospital. The atmosphere in the hospital, I'm told, was just one of complete numbness and shock, because not only were these people being transported to the hospital, you know, local people, of course, it is a local hospital, but also those working within it would have had connections, direct connections, indirect connections. So you can only imagine the pure bravery of all that responded to the scene on Friday and dealt with people afterwards. The Irish Sun this morning, a dad who was among the brave heroes who dug through rubble with his bare hands has told how he lifted a young girl from the Creeslough wreckage, and one man cheated death when a table fell through the floor of an apartment above and pinned him to the ground, shielding him from the masonry which rained down on top. Ordinary people in shorts and flip-flops threw themselves into the rescue operation before the first of 200 trained personnel arrived within 10 minutes to the scene of utter devastation on Friday afternoon. But even among the carnage, there was utter relief as children were freed from the wreckage. Brian Dolan arrived at the disaster just seconds after an explosion ripped through the building attached to the Apple Green service station. He told how the first person he encountered was a girl covered in cuts and bruises just inside the shop close to the ice cream machine, and his story goes on and on there. And it was amazing too, and I said some of this on Saturday, how people responded, like businesses with spare food or with food, feeding it into the local coffee dock there, which did amazing, sprung into action just absolutely immediately, and catering for locals and the emergency services as part of the rescue, having coffee and sandwiches, sustenance as people tried to take a break from an awfully difficult job that they were doing. It was amazing too. Local childcare doing their bit as well. And of course then immediately plans being put in place to deal with young people heading to school on buses that their school friends aren't on, and the chairs in the classroom that they won't be sitting in, having to help them through this. It's a delicate process assisting children through loss, and it's good that we have the professionals to do that. The Irish Daily Mirror, Pray for Them, is the headline. The 10 victims of this tragedy pictured on the front of the paper. It reads, these are the faces of the 10 tragic, well, the victims aren't tragic, what happened to them was tragic. The horror service station explosion that's left the Donegal village of Creeslough in mourning. Tributes have poured in from around the world for those who died in the tragedy, including a father and his 5-year-old daughter, 3 other men, 3 women and 2 teenagers. Pope Francis expressed his shock at the freak accident. That's the working through from Gardaí at the moment. He stated, I am saddened to learn of the loss of life and destruction caused by the explosion in Creeslough. It comes as details of the heroic efforts to save those trapped have emerged, with a doctor recalling how locals tried to move rubble with their bare hands, and one man revealed how he rescued a 7-year-old girl who had arrived moments before the blast to get an ice cream. So that's a sample of the coverage that's being carried nationally, and as I say, it's international and headlines as well. As I say, the lines are open for you if you want to share a message or a story or something. And also, if you want to talk, if there's other stuff that's happening in your life that leads us to talk about. As I say, there's a balance to be struck. It's one that's difficult because, as I say, there isn't a playbook for it. And there comes a point, too, as well, where we kind of have to step back a little bit and allow those, directly affected by this to grieve a little. And we also have to be conscious, too, of everyone's ability to keep talking about something. Do you know what I mean? So as I say, I don't know, and I'm speaking off the top of my head here, I hope you understand, but it's a balance that we are hoping to strike correctly for you out there. Okay, we'll be back with more on the programme after these messages.
Newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
You can rely on a Giga Home. You can Giga Stream all Giga Weekend. You can feel Giga Safe as your kids hop online to have Giga Fun, and you can Giga Boogie in your Giga Basement. Vodafone Giga Home combines super Wi-Fi, always connected, and secure net for a broadband connection you can always rely on. So, get on the Giga train. Search Vodafone Giga Home to find out more. Vodafone, together we can.
Subject to location and availability. Giga Home is subject to subscription. Cancel any time. Eligibility limitations and terms apply. See Vodafone.ie.
Let Kelly's help heat your home this winter. Buy 1 bag of coal at Kelly Centra in Letterkenny and you'll be entered into a draw to win a full ton of coal, with the winner announced on the 1st of November. There's also great value gas, briquettes, kindling and home heating oil, all at Kelly Centra and Forecourt, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
In 2018, Toyota cut through the confusion, completely ceasing production of diesel passenger cars, lowering harmful emissions and providing certainty for Irish drivers everywhere, and Kelly's Toyota are proud to be part of that hybrid electric journey. Visit Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles today to see what makes Toyota Ireland's best-selling car brand in 2021 and 2022. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world. Best-selling claim based on most recent monthly figures.
Okay, we are joined on the programme now by the mother and father of Leona Harper, who so sadly and tragically lost her life on Friday. Donna, thanks for speaking to us. How are you keeping, Donna, in this impossible situation?
Good morning, Greg. We're just trying to hold up the best we can. There's really no words. You know, we just like to say thank you to every single person that was down there on Friday. I myself was down there at 4:45, and my son Anthony, who's my oldest boy. My husband Hugh stayed in the hospital with my other son Jimmy. But we would like just to say thank you to each and every person. We wouldn't know where to begin to thank everybody for everything that they've done, for finally finding her.
And Donna, you had such a terribly long wait. You were there very soon after this happened.
Yes.
Like, were you told what Leona's situation was, or how was that information given to you? I can't imagine how you could be processing what was happening.
There was a lot of different things said. I suppose in this moment in time I wouldn't want to go too much into what was said because of other families. We were told that I was told that she was trapped in there. But we were also told that there was a big possibility that it might not. She might be on her way to hospital. So the Gardaí and other emergency services had asked my husband to stay in Letterkenny to check for her each time the ambulance came through with somebody. Later on, quite later on then, everybody was accounted for in the hospital. And then they had realised then that Leona just didn't make it out. So yes, it was a long time waiting, but we really appreciate everybody, absolutely everybody, from the doctors, the nurses, to the Gardaí, to the Mountain Rescue, to everybody. And I just don't want to mention his name on the radio, but I did personally know the digger driver. A massive thank you to him, because he just didn't stop until he got her.
And you had to wait 24 hours, Donna?
Yeah, 24 hours before we got her. Yeah, and she was the last taken out. But again, the doctors and everything, everybody was amazing. They treated the whole thing from start to finish with nothing more than respect for anybody and dignity, and the way that they handled and the way that they were able to take her out. Yeah. You know, because we don't have her home yet. We're hoping to find out today exactly when we will get her. But it's Leona was a beautiful girl. She was never any trouble. She had so many amazing friends, and I would like to thank them as well, because they've been sending messages and they've wrote letters, and we went to her school. She goes to school in Mulroy in Milford. We went there yesterday. They did a thing for her. There's massive, great support, especially for my other two boys as well, Anthony and Jamie, because Jamie still goes to school there. Anthony went to school there, and it was great support for me and my husband to be there, and it's just been outstanding. We've had messages from all over the world, giving condolences people feel amazing, offering anything they can do.
And it's really tough on the siblings too, Donna, isn't it?
It's awful.
It's very hard for mum and dad, but you're dealing with your loss, and then you're seeing your other children dealing with their loss, and it's how do you split yourself? I know you do, and I know you're doing an amazing job, Donna, but you're pulled every direction, aren't you?
Yeah. My 3 kids were, I know most people's are, Lola and Jamie and Anthony, they were extremely, extremely close. Leona, for the past year or so, have been going to the Teenage Pulse disco with Jamie. Jamie's her brother. Jamie's 13. And, they always were there with their own friends. They all mixed and mingled together. They used to go to, the car shows because they loved cars, then different shows and things, tractor runs. They did everything together. So it is very, very tough on Jamie as well. Anthony's our oldest. Anthony's 22. They had a very special bond as well, as he does with Jamie. So it's very tough.
Yeah, and there's different people that contacted me, Donna, that want me to pass stuff on to you. They're waiting for a while, but things that people want to do and help. And pay tribute to her, football supporters clubs and things like that. The time's not right for me to share that with you. They haven't given it to me yet, but I will in time. But that's more and more people that... Hugh joins us as well, Hugh Harper. Hugh, I'm so sorry for the loss of your beautiful, beautiful daughter.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Can you tell us a bit about Leona in your words, Hugh, if you're comfortable to do it? I don't want to press you in any way, Hugh.
No, it's always fine to look on the radio, Greg. That's no problem. Leona was a little gem. Very outgoing, very friendly, lovely person. Very quiet, laid back. Loved life. Loved the outdoors, walking through fields, going fishing, spending time with her friends, going to car shows. She, like everybody else's daughter to their own, she was very special. Very, very special. She's going to be very sorely missed.
And obviously it was very tough for both you and Donahue, but your time in the hospital on Friday too, you wonder how we can get through things like that, don't you? I mean, it just seems if you were told in advance, you would say, I couldn't do that. I could never do anything like that. It must have been so tough for you.
Initially when I found out, I was at work in Ballyshannon. And I suppose to move the story on a bit, we were stuck in traffic in St. Order. Met an ambulance, and I can't remember the name of the ambulance driver. She gave us an escort through Barbara and through St. Order, and then finally getting down to the hospital. The staff were amazing. Set up an instrument room, put it all together, informed us every 15-20 minutes of what's going on. Let people know when their loved ones are coming in. Initially we had thought Lona was in an ambulance on our way there, but it turned out that it just wasn't her. And as time went on, we knew in our hearts and souls that, well, if she wasn't in the hospital, we knew where she was. But the staff in the hospital, I'm terrible with names, but the nurses, the doctors, the management, I don't think they could have done any more.
You and Leona had shared a passion for Liverpool. Is that correct, Hugh?
No, well, Leona's a huge Liverpool fan,
right?
And I'm an Arsenal fan.
Okay.
And yesterday it turned out that, as fate would have it, the two teams were playing.
Isn't it amazing what gets thrown up, Hugh, that game should happen to be on yesterday evening?
You know, since the accident happened, the way things have fell into place, it's I don't know what the proper word is on it, but it's amazing how things are working out. I mean, for Liverpool and Arsenal to be playing this weekend, and for the Liverpool Football Club to be reaching out and passing on the condolences, it's very surreal. It doesn't feel real at the same time. Obviously, it does.
Yeah, it's like signs or something. I don't know. I struggle with
yeah,
it.
exactly.
But it just feels like is that Leona, someone watching over and her telling me that it's okay, Dad. That sort of stuff. Is that kind of
that's exactly the feeling that we're getting.
I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is, Hugh. I think it's in some way you being reached to say, "Be strong, Dad. Things are going to be okay." Yeah,
Liverpool's going to win.
Did she have a favourite song, Hugh or Donna? Maybe we could play for her or something at some point.
Her and Donna shared. Her and Donna favourite song was that song from with Puff Daddy, "Missing You."
Would it be appropriate for me to play that at some point this morning for Leona?
It would, yeah. But she also liked the Liverpool anthem as well. "You'll Never Walk Alone." She played that quite a bit as well. So
do you know we're gonna do both. Donna, I mean that's Daddy's perspective of Leona and that beautiful rivalry and stuff. It's. What about from your perspective?
Well, I will share a story because it's just an amazing story. Sorry. On Saturday when we found Leona on Saturday night, very late in the early hours of the morning, Sunday morning. I had heard a sound which I had thought that was in her bedroom, and so I had went in and lay in her bed. She has a wee blanket and donkey that she had since she was born, and she always slept with. And I'd just lay on the bed, on Lona's bed, with the blanket and donkey, and it was you know, I had seen her. And I had seen her, and she just cuddled into me, and I was just stroking her hair, and I just kept telling her she was beautiful. She's always beautiful, and Mommy and Daddy and Anthony and Jamie will love her always. For a split second, I had an amazing feeling. But as where her bed's in her bedroom, you can see out her bedroom window. For a few split seconds, the sky went red, and then it went pink. And then I had closed my eyes for a few minutes, and I woke up and back up again. And I hadn't even shared this at that time with my husband. And then I thought maybe it was just, it was me, it was emotions. And it was just an hour later, I'm not going to mention the wee girl's name, but an hour later, a friend of Leona's, a very special friend of Leona's, had sent me a message asking me could I look at something, and she sent me a photograph, and it was the sky, and it was pink, and another picture when the sky was red. And I was talking to this wee girl yesterday, and the wee girl had said to me, this wee girl, nobody knows my experience at this time, and this wee girl had said to me, for a split second, I felt something that she couldn't even describe that came over her, and she looked up at the sky, and she had seen a few seconds of redness and pink, and she felt that it was Leona was with her. So obviously I didn't tell anybody about that wee girl's story, but I shared my wee story with her. This was actually down in Mulroy School. Mm-hmm. I shared this wee story, but this wee girl was heartbroken, and she couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
A few moments after, I was talking to somebody else. I'm not going to mention it was an adult. and the adult had actually said to me she wanted to share something with me, but she hadn't told anybody else. But she was looking out her back door and had seen the sky, and she said she felt just for a slight second or half a second that Leona was there with her. And I'm just trying to hold on to that, because I'm thinking, like, nobody knew, not one person knew what happened in that bedroom with me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden somebody else said, and then somebody else said.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Maybe write that down, Donna, or make a voice note of it so you can reflect on it, because over the next couple of days, with everything that you're going to go through, and you know, you don't want to lose that moment. So maybe if you could write it down or make a voice note, because I know you'll lean on that in time to come.
I will. Yes, I am. I'm planning on just doing a wee diary.
Yeah.
You know,
All right. Donna, thanks so much for speaking to us. If there's anything in the future that we can ever do for you, let us know, will you?
Yeah, of course. Could I just take just one moment just to pass on from me and you and Anthony and Jimmy our sincere condolences to the rest of the family members that did not make it out. And I hope they can find some way themselves of getting through it. Also, just want to say, I know she'll not mind me saying it, but Leona had went there for a sleepover to one of her friends, because Leona lives in Letterkenny, to her wee friends, and just that we are glad she made it out. You know, we are glad that she's made it out and she's safe. Her name's Ava. We did speak to her yesterday. I hope she finds the strength to pull through this as well.
And I understand fully from where those words are coming from, I think, Donna. And Hugh, again, you know, anyone listening, anyone, if we could just take any of the pain away or undo what's happened, you know we would, but we can't. We're here, and we just have to all stick together and support each other as best as we can through the tough times that are ahead, Hugh. Thanks.
You know,
yeah, go
Greg,
ahead,
just
Hugh.
before you go, we've received so many messages, prayers and thoughts. Vigil's been held. These things in other people's eyes might seem very small, but to us, it's been a huge support. I can't thank people enough. I can't put into words what I feel and how I wanted to come across. So basically, it's a thank you. A thank you to everybody. I've seen some firefighters there yesterday. I haven't had a chance to really meet with anybody else, but some of the firefighters, one of them was down at a Vigil in Letterkenny Rugby Club, done tremendous work. They were there from the very start right to the very end. And again, thank you to everybody.
Okay.
I just can't put it any other way.
Well, Hugh,
or forever and they're dead.
Yeah, okay. You've done very well, by the way. Be very proud of yourself with how you spoke, and Leona would be very proud of you as well, as I'm sure Donna is, and, again,
Greg,
and you have done it.
Yeah, before we go, again, to the other family members that have lost family, our hearts are bleeding for them as much as they're bleeding for Leona right now. I just don't know how, and such a way that people's lives are taken, I don't know how they're coping. And listen, and thank you to Highland Radio. We've been contacted by other sources of media, and it's great to be able to put it across the local radio station, and the local people that were there volunteering, the local people that are giving their support, that they're being thanked directly through you guys.
Hugh and Donna, God bless the pair of you and your family for what comes ahead. Thank you. Thank you for sharing the memories of Leona and the beautiful stories, and we wish you nothing but as much strength as is humanly possible for you to receive from us, us as a community, all of us, over the next while. Thank you both very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, for your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Attention sheep farmers. Broca Perth Blackface Sheep Breeders Association Ram Sale takes place on Wednesday the 12th of October. Show at 1:30, sale at 5 p.m. This ad is sponsored by Mark McConnell, Agri-Consultant.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor now offers a wide range of skin boosters. The injectable moisturiser for under eyes that improves dark circles, fine lines and wrinkles. Also treating the face, neck, chest and hands. This amazing treatment works from the inside out, resulting in brighter, smoother, plumper skin. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. You can download the Genesis app or call 07495 32575.
Celebrating the 25th anniversary of the first Joe Dolan Bundoran Music Festival, a spectacular Christmas party night at the Allingham Arms Hotel on Friday, December the 16th, with the sensational Joe Dolan Show, Remembering Joe, featuring 5 vocalists with the Dolan family and the original Joe Dolan Band, cabaret, dinner and accommodation if required. Now booking at the Allingham Arms or online at showtours.ie. Revive the 90s in Bundoran on December the 16th at the Allingham.
Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossin College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half-price sale. Get up to 50% off everything in store. All kitchen and bathroom tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware, all cladding. Everything's reduced. It's our biggest ever sale. The Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half-price sale. Stores nationwide. Sale ends Sunday.
They're fearsome, they're ferocious, and they're coming to the Aura Leisure Complex on the 15th of October at 1 p.m. Experience the power of evolution. Come face to face with a velociraptor, a triceratops, and many more. Tickets available from universe.com and the Aura Leisure Complex, Letterkenny. Jurassic Lockdown, presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
All right, now we're joined on the programme in studio, in fact, by two guests. They are JJ McGowan, Chief Ambulance Officer in the HSE Western Region, and also Mr. Jerry Lane, Consultant in Emergency Medicine. Both of you, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. JJ, I'll start with you first. A plan kicked in, didn't it, when this call was made, presumably on Friday, and when the severity of it began to become clear, and your crew's on the scene incredibly quickly.
Yeah, good morning, Greg. Indeed, a major emergency plan kicked in. Now, for this incident, we didn't actually declare a major incident, but we used the framework for major emergency management to deal with it. That's our guiding principle for such incidents, and I suppose that plan kicked in where we received the call from our call centre. We dispatched our initial crews. We dispatched 2 officers on the scene, and it was them 2 guys, who's Paul Gallen and Brian Ferry. It was their job to put the skeleton together of the medical response in relation to this, and sort of build that skeleton throughout. We deal with these incidents in a different way that we would deal with a normal incident. So I suppose it's important for the public to know that our initial crews on scene, due to the scale of the incident, it's not their job to treat people medically, but it's their job to survey the scene, get as much detail of that scene, and portray it back to our control centre and us in the management circles to see what we need then to deal with that. So that's why the people on scene would have seen them coming in and surveying the scene rather than assessing the patients, and that's important for the public to know that we weren't looking over anybody, but because of the size of that scale, we have to do that.
Because there's a great unknown, presumably, in terms of further structural collapse, secondary explosions. A petrol station was on site of this as well. Presumably, all of that also has to be factored in those initial moments.
Indeed, yeah. This scene was described to me when I arrived at some stage. It was like a Jenga, and one wrong block out or one thing, and the whole thing could have come tumbling down. And just for our own staff, the heroism that was shown, the unselfishness, and they just went in and done everything we asked of them plus more, and the local community, Greg, it was unbelievable to watch. That digger driver was just an amazing man. Look, along with the others, I'm not just singling him out, but he got into that digger, I think, at about 10 o'clock on the night of the incident, and he had to be pulled, dragging and screaming from it at 8 just to get him a cup of tea or coffee. And he picked blocks out of that rubble in such a delicate fashion. It reminded me of, remember when we were small, the game where you Operation, and it was just like that. It was amazing.
That's the delicateness with this multi-ton machinery that he had to employ.
And the guys on scene, like Jerry was there all night, and we put a team there on scene all night. And I had said to one of them at one stage, it must have been Hugh. We had gone home and to come back that following morning. So when I arrived back, we said to them, it must have been a huge and a long night for yourselves. And they said, no, it just things flowed, and we sort of took a background step at that stage because the crews was digging, and they said they just talked the victims that was there through the rubble. They couldn't, I suppose they couldn't hold their hands physically, but they could mentally. So that's just what they said they'd done all night.
Yeah, and this is I wouldn't say it's unprecedented, but it's very rare. I'm not sure how many other situations there have been of an explosion of this nature with as many fatalities and injuries. It's thankfully something we see incredibly rare. So this was an amazing level of expertise and training. There was something in this that we don't see very often.
No, thankfully, we train for it, and we train for it well, but thankfully we don't see it too often. But unfortunately, Donegal has had its fair shares of tragedy like this on this scale, and for some reason it's a county that just sees its mass of tragedy like this. It's unbelievable. Deaths, fatalities, and such things.
Mr. Jerry Lane, you were there, obviously, one of the first to arrive on the scene. What were you met by?
Well, before we talk about me, if you don't mind, Greg.
Of course.
I was listening to Donna and Hugh there on the radio. I just wanted to say to them personally, I'm just so dreadfully sorry for that terrible 24 hours I went through. And they're in my thoughts, even now. To go back to your question, 9 calls were made from the public into the emergency operations centre in and around 3:15. NEOC, the heroes in the background, started mobilising resources. I got a phone call. I was in a confidential meeting with somebody, so I had all my phones off, so I apologise for that delay. I got a call at 15:36. I'm mobilised, and I was there by about 5 to 4 or something of that nature. As usual, I got out of my car and started running towards the scene, but I got about 3 or 4 feet away from the car, and I realised that I was completely inappropriately attired to go into that environment, and my major incident training had to kick in. So I had to turn on my heel, go back to the vehicle, and pull out the major incident stuff, the personal protective equipment, and the plan and the resources to help me partake in the role that the National Ambulance Service had asked me to take.
Can you talk to me a little bit more about the plan? And you would carry that with you everywhere. What does the plan set out? Is it 4 major instances?
Yes. We're like, there is a major emergency plan, a national plan, and it was written. I was lucky to be part of that group way back about 2005 to 2007. And there is an office of major emergency planning in Dublin. There's a medical presence there. So we weren't making anything up on the day. There has been training available on these islands since way back in about 1986. This is major incident medical management support training. I was lucky to be the director of that for a number of years in conjunction with the National Ambulance Training College in Castlebar, and they also do it for hospital major incidents as well. So when the words of major emergency or major incident are said into your ear, and you're told that there are multiple trapped, multiple injured, one has to change gear. And my clutch slipped in my head. The gear didn't fully engage until I got out of the car and I could see what was going on. So I came back and got appropriately attired for the environment and then moved forward. There are a number of things one has to do, and I think JJ made the point earlier on. It will look to a casual onlooker that we're not paying full attention to the individuals that we're actually looking about, and that has because the particular training is designed to do the most for the most, and the most includes the entire community. So we need to take command of the situation, and we were lucky that within minutes we had ambulance officers on scene, and they were able to take over as HSE controller of operations. HSE is one of the principal responding agencies, one of the PRAs. I was just one little small piece in the corner of that, but I have my job to do, and that is to take command of my bit, attend to the safety of as many people as I can, myself, the rescuers, and the people who are trapped, and anybody else who comes on board. I need to communicate back to national control and let them know what's going on. I also need to communicate horizontally with the Fire Command, with the Garda Command, and those are the other 2 principal responding agencies. After that, we need to do an assessment And the assessment is of the entire scenario. And that particular environment, anybody who's seen the TV or the photographs, most of those photographs were taken many hours after the incident. We were far too busy working to take photographs at the time. But with vehicles, with rubble spread, with an unstable structure, with litres and litres of explosive petroleum potentially underneath our feet, with the knowledge that there were gas cylinders on site, that was a hugely risky environment. And that safety thing started to kick in as we started to disable services. ESB, thank you very much, networks, for coming and sorting that out. And thank you very much, Apple Green, for coming and capping and making the tank safe. So safety was a big thing, and assessing the situation. We at that stage, I was able to look at the ambulances, and there were 3 ambulances on scene with crews, and there were people who had been retrieved. I think I was in 2 of them. I was able to assist with some medication. One young gentleman start his treatment and arrange and expedite his movement to Letterkenny, who had stood up their major incident plan. And thank you very much, Letterkenny. You were absolutely fantastic, as usual. That gentleman was moving very rapidly, and I called in to the emergency department to brief them by around about 6 or 8 minutes past 4. Another ambulance with 3 kids. I went into them. Now, in a major incident where you're potentially facing 200 or 300, and we did not know, we had no knowledge of how many were in there, plus we didn't know how many people were going to get injured outside. And I could talk about that for a day or two. We need to triage people, and triage means sorting people who are injured, whether they're inside the building or outside the building, according to the severity of their injuries. And we use a thing called a triage sieve, and we break people down into 4 major groups. The greens are the walking wounded, and we basically get anybody who can walk out of the danger zone and put them in a corner in a safe location somewhere. We then go through the situation and evaluate individuals and allocate them triage categories depending on their physiological abnormality. There are red, people who get tagged red, are priority 1. There are people who get tagged yellow, they're priority 2. The walking wounded are priority 3. And obviously, in totality, I think we had 8 ambulances on scene very rapidly, 2 ICVs, 4 ambulance officers, and a large number of docs. The treatment that is offered on scene and thereafter is determined by your triage category. So that's the first mission. Once triage is completed, we then need to move to a treatment phase. And we were extraordinarily blessed on that particular day. And I still don't know really how it happened. But within about 30 to 60 minutes, we had a casualty clearing station set up. It didn't have a sign. It was just a location. We had 2 intensive care unit bays in the back of emergency ambulances. And we had a green pathway for the walking wounded, manned by 4 of the local family practitioners who came forward, and with 5 practice and hospital nurses who came forward as volunteers, totally out of their comfort zone. But I was able to reach into my plan and take out the laboriously photocopied instructions of how to deal with patients in a major incident, hand it to them and give them a quick briefing so they could deal with what was going to happen then. We were blessed with all of that, but then things started to happen which really reflected the wonderfulness, if you pardon me saying that, of this particular incident. I'm actually a retired doctor now. I'm in my dotage. I'm a volunteer with the Irish Community Air Ambulance and part of their ground system, and we've talked about that before. But very rapidly I noticed another one of my vehicles, an ICAA land car, come through. They're very distinctive livery. And I was amazed. And out of that jumped 2 doctors, 2 of my colleagues, pre-hospital doctors, Andy Patton and Connor Moran. They'd been at a wedding in Lough Esk. They'd received the same phone call I received. They got in their car, in their wedding gear. They drove over, and they stood on the side of the road, stripped down, and put in their PPE. I had an ICU team there, almost instantly. Then the Northern Ireland Hospital Emergency Medical Services arrived, and they disgorged a wonderful doctor and his critical care paramedic, and I really want to say thank you very much to those guys I want to say thanks, Dobbo. Thanks very much for coming over. I really appreciate it. So within minutes, we had the green pathway sorted with our local talent. We had 2 intensive care unit areas sorted out. We had ventilators on scene. They had arrived with Andy. We had whatever drugs we really, really needed. We would be able to handle a whole lot. We had a blood bank on scene brought by the Northern Ireland Helicopter Service, and we were well established that if we rescued folk who needed care, we were ready to go.
Amazing.
We had advanced paramedics, a large group of them. I think I counted 16 at one stage. Plus, I was receiving calls from around the country. Altna Gelvin was ready they said, send us who you can and we'll deal. Sligo, Crumlin called me and said, we know you have kids. We heard you have kids. If you have kids who need to go to the kid ICU, we're ready to go. We'll take them. And the wonderful thing was, I had enough ambulances on scene to transport numbers of people, but I also had helicopter resources immediately available to me, so I could have flown people anywhere that was appropriate for their care. I'd like to say thanks to the military, Aeromedical 112. I'd like to say thanks to the Coast Guard. Thanks, Mr. Higgins. Thank you very much, Mr. Lafferty, for getting out of those helicopters and running up with your crews to weigh in. And of course, I had the Northern Ireland ambulance. I had a 4th helicopter available to me. I just didn't know where to put it, so they didn't come on the scene. Right. So that was triage, and then treatments. We had the equipment. We had things ready to go from a medical point of view. And we were squared away. We were following the plan, and we were ready to go. But I only mentioned 3 of the 4 triage categories. I mentioned the red and the yellow and the green. There is another category, and that's the black. And people will have seen me walking around with this bag all evening. This is a triage pack. It's 4 major incidents. I carry 4 of them in my car. And they're standard issue. And we carry a number of tags of various colours. Unfortunately, the tag that I was using mostly that evening, even during recce missions, I'd like to say thanks to Liam Duffy and the ambulance service and the fire and rescue service. They were able to create mouse holes through the debris and rubble that allowed us to penetrate into the building and get to people to assess them and see, was there anything we could possibly do to assist them. And as soon as we found anybody, we were into them, even though it may have been a period of time before we could actually get them out. Mm-hmm. Our initial mission was search and rescue, and we had even after hours, we had some wonderful extractions of people who are injured in hospital, but golly, I didn't think they were going to come out. We spent the next several hours searching for more live people using techniques, sound, microphones, cameras, drones, dogs, all sorts, because we wanted to focus our efforts on the live. Thereafter, we moved towards a search and recovery operation. And that decision was a tough one, but there was an on-site management committee made up of the heads of the 3 principal responding agencies. We had great guys running all those services. David Kelly, in the Guards, and his crew were astonishingly wonderful. Brave, wonderful folk. The fire service, they were wonderful. And I'd single out Gary Martin and the two Joes and the station officer from Letterkenny for their incredible work. The decision eventually was made that it was unlikely we were going to find anybody else. Light was fading. The helicopters had to leave because they can't fly in the dark, sadly. We reduced our ICU capacity on scene. We called Letterkenny and requested could we please have a team from there to maintain an ICU capacity on scene. Mm-hmm. And thanks to Paul O'Connor, Anya, Dr. Ripu, Paddy McGonigal and Sarah for coming out. I really appreciate that. And they stayed with us while we hoped and prayed to get somebody else out. And they were there with us till midnight. The National Ambulance Service and myself, we maintained a presence overnight. We had a mission at that stage that we were going to get everybody out and return them to their families. And that's what needed to be done. And that became our mission. The first 5 minutes, though, I got, I don't know if it's appropriate to say that or not. When I did arrive and when I was surveying the scenes, my jaw did drop because I could see the local folk, people in their regular clothes, people in holiday clothes, doing extraordinary things, blinded by adrenaline, blinded by love, but they were in there wrenching out metal and rebar and concrete and golly knows what with their bare hands. I salute them. But I was terrified for them. I was terrified for their safety. It was probably one of the most dangerous situations that I've been in because of the multiple different risks we've already discussed. And I had a huge anxiety, I must confess, not just for the 10 folk that we were looking for, and not just for the people that we rescued, but also for the 100 or 200 people, the civilians, who unprotected except from pieces of cotton, shirts and trousers and boots and tennis shoes, were in there trying to rescue people. And it was only when the heavy machinery started to arrive, most of it coming locally, and I applaud all of you gentlemen for bringing that machinery. You did the work of 20 and 100 men, that we could actually get the civilians back and reduce the risk to them. I thank you very, very much indeed. But you are blinded to your own safety, and I was so scared for you.
Okay. And people with trailers, low bed lorries, everything that was needed was on scene. Finally, and thanks so much for that insight into the reality of that operation. JJ McGowan, your teams, I know you want to perhaps express gratitude and join with Jerry in terms of expressing thanks, but I hope all of you that responded to it, the emergency services, the mountain rescue, everyone that applied their skills, I hope that you are getting a sense of the gratitude from the public, even those who you returned the bodies to, which I find that amazing that they can find time in their grief to say, if it wasn't, you've got our son or our daughter back to us. Yeah. But JJ, last word to you.
Yeah, just Greg, we do get that sense of gratitude. We're getting texts and calls from all over the world. But just from ourselves and from the HSE and the National Ambulance perspective, I'd just like to really say thanks to our own staff, firstly. As I say before, we don't have words for what they've done. For the hospital and the community healthcare organisation as well. Dermot Monaghan and his team there rolled in behind us. For our counterparts in Northern Ireland and the Northern Ireland Ambulance Service, they provided us with aeromedical support. They provided us with ambulances who transported some of the wounded to hospital. They provided us with their heart hazardous area response teams. As Jerry says earlier, the Coast Guard 118 helicopter. And to Jerry and his team, this county is blessed, and we are blessed as an ambulance service to have Jerry.
That's why we won't let him retire.
We're holding on to him, but we're blessed to have him. To Gary Martin and David Kelly and the Gardaí and the fire service, we thank them for working alongside us and helping us through this. And just I suppose the final word, to strip it all back, Greg, and they were faced with this situation on Friday, and they've been faced with situations since, and I know Jerry has, and our own teams have, but they're really just ordinary people who face extraordinary situations every day.
Right. Mr. Jerry Lane, volunteer critical care doctor, and JJ McGowan, Chief Ambulance Officer in the HSE Western Region. Both of you, thanks for your time this morning, and thank you for everything you and your teams and those associated with you did. It's very much appreciated, as I mentioned. Right, okay. We're going to take a short break, and later than intended, obviously, the news will be coming up for you, the 10 o'clock news, but obviously such is the importance of the issue that we can wait that extra 12 minutes. That's coming up with you with Michaela after this short break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Are you completing your UCAS application? CAFRE offers degree courses in food, agriculture, equine and horticulture. Come along to CAFRE's October Open Days. Talk to students, meet staff and explore the practical facilities at Northern Ireland's specialist agri-food and land-based college. Book now to attend an open day at Greenmount Campus, Enniskillen Campus and Loughry Campus. Register online at cafre.ac.uk or visit Discover CAFRE on Facebook.
For day-to-day healthcare needs, generations have trusted the experienced staff at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From coughs and colds to aches and pains, from vitamin supplements to first aid essentials. McGee's have what you need when you need it, with a full prescription service available daily. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
Sometimes it's just bad luck, but sometimes it's negligence. From minor bumps to life-changing injury, every accident has a story. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll assess the situation, advise on solutions, and lead the way if any litigation is to follow. From motor accidents and workplace accidents to slips, trips and falls, call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. Let's get you started on the road to recovery. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help? In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
If you have a TV, you must have a TV licence. It's the law. Inspectors are calling to homes and businesses in your area this week. If you don't have a valid TV licence, that can mean prosecution and a fine of up to €1,000. Get yours now at tvlicence.ie or any post office. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Thinking about joining AIB? What if by changing your bank, you could also change the way you bank? At AIB, we don't make technology for you to bank, we make it for you to live, with all your everyday banking needs at your fingertips. Joining AIB takes just a few simple steps. Discover how to become a customer by visiting aib.ie. AIB, we back doing. Allied Irish Banks plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.eu.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news this morning. The parents of 14-year-old Leona Harper, one of the 10 who lost their lives in the explosion in Creeslough, have this morning thanked those involved in the recovery of their daughter. After the explosion on Friday afternoon, Donna and Hugh had a painful wait as they were told that their daughter was trapped in the building, but also that there was a possibility she had been removed to hospital. Leona's body was the last to be recovered from the site. Donna on the 9 till noon show a short time ago paid tribute to those on the scene.
I did personally know the digger driver. A massive thank you to him because he just didn't stop until he got her. Yeah, 24 hours before we got her. Yeah, and she was the last taken out. But again, the doctors and everything, everybody was amazing. They treated the whole scene from start to finish with nothing more than respect.
Leona's father, Hugh, meanwhile, spoke of the special person she was.
Leona was a little gem. Very outgoing, very friendly, lovely person, very quiet, laid back, loved life, loved the outdoors, walking through fields, going fishing, spending time with her friends, going to car shows. She, like everybody else's daughter to their own, she was very special. Very, very special. She's going to be very sorely missed.
Brian Dolan was one of the first on the scene on Friday and says the events of that afternoon are only sinking in now.
I was there within seconds of it happening. My office is just down the road. I think people maybe now are realising what happened, but I think us that were on the scene on Friday realised pretty quick that things were very serious. We knew the cars outside, we knew who was in them, we knew who was in the building.
Well, the first funeral of the 10 people killed in Creeslough is to take place tomorrow. 24-year-old Jessica Gallagher will be laid to rest after 11 o'clock funeral mass at St Michael's Church, Creeslough. 49-year-old Martin McGill's funeral mass will be held tomorrow also at St Michael's Church, Creeslough at 2 o'clock. While 48-year-old James O'Flaherty will be buried in Maharagallen Cemetery following funeral mass on Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock. The arrangements of the other victims are yet to be announced. One man remains in a critical condition in St James's Hospital in Dublin, while others remain in a stable condition in Letterkenny University Hospital. The postmortems of the 10 victims will take place this week. And Post has put in place alternative post office services at Kilmacrennan Post Office. They will be available from 11 o'clock this morning. A Creeslough Community Support Fund has been set up by Post in conjunction with the Irish Red Cross to help people affected by last Friday's tragic events. Anna McHugh, head of corporate communications at Post, says people can donate at every post office across the country.
On behalf of us all in An Post, we express our condolences and send our thoughts and prayers to all of the community in Creeslough. At every post office, people can donate to a Creeslough Community Support Fund, which we're linking with the Irish Red Cross to ensure that all funds will go directly to local services.
A man's body was found in Maharorty on Friday afternoon. Gardaí say they attended an incident that occurred in the Maharorty area. A man was pronounced dead at the scene. His body was removed to Letterkenny University Hospital, where a post-mortem was due to take place. Police in Derry say they are concerned for the safety of a teenager who has been missing since Friday last. Ryan Moore was last seen in the Gallia area of the city at around 6:30. He's believed to have been wearing a grey Adidas tracksuit and a grey night coat. If anyone has any information, they are asked to contact police on the non-emergency number 101. Finally, Ukraine's president says Russia is trying to wipe his country off the face of the earth following explosions in Kyiv, which he says have resulted in deaths. It's the first time in months that the capital city's been targeted. Dr. Robert Bell, a former defence advisor at NATO, says Moscow is retaliating over damage to a bridge with Crimea.
Their supply of these weapons is dwindling, and they really would think logically would save those for important military targets. This terror bombing of cities may make the Russians feel better, but it's not helping them defeat their Ukrainian counteroffensives at all.
Weather now today will be partly cloudy with some sunny spells and a few passing showers. Feeling quite cold with highs of 11 to 13 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notices for this Monday morning, October the 10th. The tragic death has taken place of Jessica Gallagher, Kilmacrennan, Creeslough. House strictly private to family, neighbours and friends only. Funeral Mass in St Michael's Church, Creeslough tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards to Doe Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on mcmmedia.tv. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu of desire to the Donegal Hospice. The tragic death has occurred in Creeslough of Martin McGill, 11 Ard Coshlocha, Creeslough, Donegal. His remains will be reposing at his mother's residence at 3 St Michael's Terrace, Creeslough from 11 o'clock this morning. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. Funeral Mass tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock in St Michael's Church, Creeslough, with burial afterwards in Doe Cemetery. Mass can be viewed on mcmmedia.tv. The death has taken place of Maureen O'Donnell, Letcher Shambo, Clohan and formerly of Clohan Beg, née Giogan, Cossin Athloan. Maureen will repose at the home of her daughter and son-in-laws Maggie and Hugh Boners in Letcher Shambo from 11 o'clock this morning. Funeral Mass at 11 o'clock on Wednesday morning in the Church of Our Lady of Perpetual Help Glenfin, with burial afterwards in Kiltyvogue Cemetery. Rosary both nights at 9 o'clock, with family time from 11 p.m. until 11 a.m. each day. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland, care of any family member. The funeral mass can be viewed on mcmmedia.tv. The tragic death has occurred of James O'Flaherty, Rincleven, Dunfanaghy, originally of Sydney, Australia. Removal from the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest Mountaintop, Letterkenny at 12 noon today to Rorty's Funeral Home, Derrybeg. His remains will repose at the funeral home this afternoon from 1 o'clock until 8 o'clock, with Rosary at 8 o'clock, and tomorrow again from 12:30 until 5:30. Removal afterwards to the family home in Dunfanaghy to repose overnight. House private to family and close friends only. Funeral Mass in St Mary's Church, Derrybeg on Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in Maharagan Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director's Facebook page. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu to the Irish Kidney Association, care of any family member or Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Joseph Joe Mulvena, Rocktown, Fulcara. His remains are reposing at his home until lunchtime tomorrow. Requiem Mass in St Patrick's, Donegal Street, Belfast on Wednesday morning at 9:30. The death has taken place of Margaret Brown, née McClenaghan, 187 Salawilly Road, Cloddy. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Family time, please, from 10 o'clock tonight. Funeral from her late residence tomorrow morning, leaving at 10:15 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Cloddy. Interment immediately afterwards in St Joseph's Church, Craigban Graveyard. Family flowers only, please, and donations if desired in lieu to Northern Irish Cancer Care, care of any family member or McLaughlin Funeral Directors, Dungiven. The death has taken place of Owen McCandless, Hill House Farm, Glenealy. His remains are reposing at his home. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Funeral from his home tomorrow afternoon at 1:15 for 2 o'clock service in Glackna Drummond Methodist Church, followed by burial in the adjoining burial ground. The death has occurred of Vincent Vinnie Hoey, New Road, Turles Pass, County Westmeath, formerly of Ballyforn, County Roscommon. Funeral Mass this afternoon at 2 o'clock in St Stephen's Church, Turles Pass, County Westmeath. Burial afterwards in the local cemetery. Family flowers only. Donations to Friends of Tullamore Hospital. Funeral Mass can be viewed on ourlittleparish.ie. The death has occurred of Maureen Bakey, Binaman Annagry. Her remains are reposing in McGlynn's Funeral Home today, with viewing from 3 o'clock until 6 o'clock, with removal afterwards to her late home. House strictly private to family only. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning in the Star of the Sea Church, Annagry at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in the new cemetery. And the death has occurred of Pat O'Neill, 28 Mezzines Park, Pennyburn. House private, please. His remains are reposing at W.J. O'Brien and Sons Funeral Home, 110 Cluny Road, Eglinton. His remains will then be removed from there to St Patrick's Church, Pennyburn, for Requiem Mass this morning at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the city cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers if wished to the Foyle Hospice. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Okay, some of your comments coming in so far this morning. Greg, it was amazing listening to Dr. Jerry Lane, how the emergency plan kicked in and the work of all involved on site. God bless them all. That comes in from John indeed. John, an incredible insight as to the reality of that situation, and one which even someone as experienced as Dr. Lane was going into for the first time. Just to let you know that a vigil will take place this evening in the Diamond at Lifford at 6 p.m. By the way, if you want any information passed on, please send it in to us, and we'll definitely do that for you. Another texter says, as the people tried to come to terms with the shocking news Friday evening and all the shock and horror of what happened and what lies ahead this week, and also for many weeks to come, also great response from the country and the world. Also, to all of those donating to the GoFundMe page and now the post offices this week, this will all be needed. Hopefully a committee can be put together to take care of all and to distribute where needed. God bless them all. It wasn't easy to rearrange your programme and playlist over the weekend, but well done to Highland Radio and those involved. You did an amazing job and got it right. Thanks. As I say, it's there isn't a rule book for things like this. You just try to do your best. Sometimes you don't maybe get it right all the time, but you just try. But it's listen, it's from my perspective anyway. It's not a news story. It's trying to get information out from the community for the community. I've been invited on every radio station in the country and every TV station in Britain. It's no interest to me. It was just to focus on getting as much accurate and official information out as possible and focus here. Greg, in tears this morning, listening to Donna and Hugh talking about their lovely daughter. My sincere sympathy to them and all the other families, thinking of them all and praying for them. No words, Greg. God bless everyone, says another. I'm going to avoid... I appreciate the nice comments that are being sent in, by the way, and they're all being read and noted, but I'm going to avoid reading them out, if that's okay, just so the focus is on your messages for those directly affected by this and other things as well. But I appreciate the nice comments that have been sent in as it relates to us here at Highland Radio, so thank you for that. They're all noted, is what I'll say, but I just don't think it'd be appropriate to sit here reading them out. I'm a man in my 40s, sitting here in tears in my car listening to Hugh and Donna. I don't know you at all, but I know for sure your wee angel will be so proud of you and will forever watch over all. God bless. And I think with signs that both of them have received, they're assured by that. So very tight. It's a tight show, sad tight show, Greg. Yeah, indeed, it is tough. Listening to those two parents of beautiful Leona would break your heart. We worry about so many silly things. Nothing else matters, only family. The whole country is praying for you and all the families that have lost their loved ones. They will never be forgotten. The county, the country, the world are with you all in Creeslough. Greg, please play the song Beyond the Rainbows End by Lisa McHugh for all those suffering as a result of this awful tragedy. The words in this song are just so beautiful. Just wanted to text in to say how impressed we are with the beautiful evening of adoration the priests in Letterkenny Cathedral last night. These priests do such amazing work. It was so beautiful and touching for the people of Creeslough. The faith in Donegal is amazing, a real inspiration. Yeah, and indeed, another word for the numbers. The numbers were huge that attended vigils, and some were organised at the last minute, and maybe the weather wasn't bad, and maybe the numbers weren't as big. That's not the point. It was just people coming together, which I thought was just so remarkable. Well done for the difficult coverage, Greg. Maybe you could play Jealous of the Angels if you think that would be appropriate. I'm happy to do so. As you would know, Pope Francis made contact with the local bishop, the Bishop of Raphoe. That's the Reverend Alexander McGuckian, with words coming directly from the Pope himself. So I thought I might read those. And the letter reads as follows. His Holiness Pope Francis was saddened to learn of the loss of life and destruction caused by the explosion in Creeslough, and he expresses his spiritual closeness to all those suffering in the aftermath of this tragedy. While entrusting the deceased to the merciful love of Almighty God, His Holiness implores the divine blessings of consolation and healing upon the injured, the displaced and the families coping with pain of loss. As a pledge of strength and peace in the Lord, the Holy Father sends his blessing to all the people of Ireland. And he's got the tone of it correct there in understanding that it feels so local, standing in Creeslough there at the weekend with people that you know, people that know you, and then you realise then that this is a tragedy that is being talked about all over the world, such as the scale and impact of it. Okay, keep your messages or whatever you want coming in. If there's something that you want to say, call us 07491 25000, 07491 25000. As I say, you know, there will come a point where we need to give the families and the local community of Creeslough and the surrounding areas some space and step away from this a little bit. As I say, it doesn't mean that it is not at the forefront of our minds, but it recognises that, you know, there's a process to be gone through over the next while. Not a process, but a period of time whereby, you know, that people need a bit of space to sort of deal with what they're going to have to deal with. And of course, as I mentioned at the start of the show, there's a lot of people listening also that are heavily impacted by this and maybe at time will need a little bit of switch of focus as well. I get it, we get it, and it's just a case of trying to get it right. I hope you understand all of that. Okay, we'll take a break. Everything's running a little bit behind, as you'd imagine. Dr. Jerry Lane and JJ really wanted to hear what they had to say because they were there and were able to explain everything that went on, and some questions, in fact, answered that may have been asked. So really important. So we're running behind a little bit. Some would say it's always the way with me, but anyway, my apologies for today.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday the 10th of October. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S1. It's game number 41. The numbers are 85, 37, 75, 61, 9, 81, 38, 33, 69, and finally 48. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Bingo Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €1,100 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
Want unbeatable value from Sky? Here's the deal. Get Sky Broadband Plus, our award-winning Sky Q box for the amazing low price of just €39 a month. Super fast, super reliable broadband. And Sky Q with your apps and recordings. That's Sky Broadband Plus Sky Q for just €39 a month for 12 months. Now that is unbeatable value. Go to sky.ie. Availability subject to location. Offer does not include Sky TV subscription. New Sky customers only. Setup fees, minimum term and further terms apply. For more info, see sky.ie/speeds.
Inishowen Credit Union has recently launched Cultivate, an agricultural loan at only 6.55%, APR 6.75%. Call any of their 4 offices for more information or to make an appointment. Inishowen Credit Union, Buncrana, Carndona, Moville and Muff, supporting local farmers. Inishowen Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
It's time to take cover, people, and save yourselves with great value home cover from Super Value Insurance. You'll get a 15% online discount and shopping vouchers with every policy. That's a great deal for the cover you need anyway. All it takes is one big click or call. Just visit supervalue.ie/insurance or call 0818 010101 and our team will save the day without the drama. Terms and conditions apply. Vouchers include two €10 off, €40 spend. Home contents only. Policies excluded. This home insurance is underwritten by AXA Insurance DAC. Super Value Financial Services DAC, trading in Super Value Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
We want to welcome onto the programme Dolores Gallagher, who is aunt to Jessica Gallagher, who very sadly passed away in the tragedy in Creeslough on Friday. Dolores, our deepest sympathies with you, and I think you can feel the love and the embrace from the community, not just locally but beyond. But we're really, really sorry for you losing your beautiful niece.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you for contacting us, and a wonderful opportunity to thank everyone.
On behalf of the entire family, we wanted to thank very much the neighbours in the locality in Creeslough who have been unbelievably kind and generous with their offers of help and the tactful way that everyone has been so supportive, including those other poor people who have been bereaved or have injured family members and loved ones, and still managed to find the courage and strength to make contact to offer condolences. So on behalf of the entire family, I'd like to thank everyone for that.
Talk to us about Jessica and the type of person she is, Dolores.
Yeah. Jessica was, as her photographs show, the most beautiful young woman. She was very artistic from a very young age, and very much interested in fashion and design and clothing, and she pursued that. She wanted to make something of her life, and she after doing her Leaving Cert, she went to Northern Ireland and did a year in her art course and developed her portfolio, and secured a place in college in Paris in fashion and design, and she really loved it so much, and she did well, and she worked so hard. She worked so hard, and the middle year of the course, the students all go to another location, maybe Milan or somewhere where clothing is produced, and only 2 of the class are selected each year to go to their most prestigious position, which is to go to Shanghai. And she was one of the 2 selected that year. So she spent actually the first semester in Shanghai, and then the COVID lockdown came, and she finished the academic year on the laptop from the kitchen. But she qualified as a fashion designer and did very well. And then, of course, the lockdown was there, and had, as we all know, COVID had a huge impact on the fashion industry. So she pursued and eventually was to start finally her job as a fashion designer today. Today was the day she was starting her new professional life as a fashion designer in Belfast, and she had just finished her first commission on Friday.
Just unbelievable, and the celebration of that new job.
Yes,
she on Thursday night.
She and her boyfriend went out to her favourite restaurant in the Glen Bar and Restaurant, and she had her red wine and oysters. She did like the nicer things and to celebrate. And she was a beautiful person. She was so proud of and loved her locality. She loved Creeslough so much. And when she was a student in Paris, one of her assignments too was to work on something from home, and she produced a beautiful picture of Muckish in the moonlight, and her instructor said, "You can't be from there, it's too beautiful," and she showed them the photographs. And we took her remains home yesterday in the moonlight. So I'd just like to thank all the people who stood so respectfully, so quietly at the side of the road on the way home, and also the lovely undertaker who slowed down to pass all those people so quietly and respectfully. And she's was a beautiful, vivacious, hardworking, lovely presence. She lightened every room she walked into, and she was a credit to her family and to her locality.
And she was already making waves in her passion, the fashion industry, and I'm sure it was going to through her life. It just makes no sense that she won't get that opportunity now.
It feels very unfair. It feels very unfair, but she left a legacy, even young as she was. She left a legacy behind her of joy and beauty, and all the Christmas cards that she'd been making from she was 14 years of age. We will treasure them forever, handmade cards. She was just a lovely person, and she'll be so sorely missed. Her family are just lacerated by their loss, and in particular also her young cousins, her sisters, her young cousins, and her young friends. It's very difficult for young people to lose a peer. It just doesn't feel right.
No, and as you say, it ripples throughout the whole family, and we're so closely knit, particularly in certain parts. So many people are directly touched by the loss of Dolores, and then of course it extends onto the community.
Jessica.
But sorry, I beg your pardon, Dolores. Jessica. As you say, the cousins, and I know families and big families, and they're like sisters and brothers, and it's just terrible.
Yeah, she's a huge loss to the Gallagher side, and also to the wonderful, strong, and beautiful Coyle family, who are just so present and so loving, and it's a huge loss. And I also would like to acknowledge her father's work colleagues, and from the Gulf and the GAA, and they've just all been so kind and so good, and extending their support and their love. It's been wonderful.
Okay, I'll let you go now, Dolores, because I don't want to prolong it any longer. Would you please, they know, but pass on our love and support to your brother and the rest of the family, so they draw what strength they can and they need over the next while and beyond. But a beautiful tribute to a beautiful person, Dolores, so thank you very much for that.
Oh, before you go, I meant to say it at the outset, and I just got distracted. Can we please keep in our prayers her boyfriend and the other people who have been seriously injured? There will be life-changing injuries among those poor people, and those are injuries that we can see. There are also injuries of the heart and soul that will be with people for the rest of their lives. So just to keep those people in our prayers and in our support in the years to come.
Okay,
so thank you, Greg.
Dolores, thank you. And God bless you. Thanks very much indeed. Dolores Gallagher there, who's the aunt of Jessica. It's just impossible, isn't it, to sort of try and process, literally the world at Jessica's feet. Starting a new job today. It was supposed to be her first day at work. Thinking on her colleagues that would have been her colleagues as well, and the celebrations on Thursday in the Glen, and then Friday. Unbelievable. This obviously is a tragedy that reaches far beyond Creeslough, Donegal, Ireland. We're going to go now to Jared McFadden. Jared, good morning to you. Thanks for taking the call. I appreciate your time today.
Morning, Greg. No problem at all.
Now, you are based out in Brisbane, Australia. Obviously, then you heard the news. What happened then, Jared?
Yeah, look, it was Saturday morning our time. I just woke up to the devastating news. Couldn't believe it. We're numb, shocked. I guess the same emotions as Creeslough and all the Donegal people the world over at the minute. Devastating.
And I think sometimes too, the further you are away, it can be a little bit more difficult, because you're sort of trying to process your emotions on your own, really. We've talked about the great community we have here and how we've all come together, but for lots of people deeply affected by this, Jared, further afield, I know there is a strong Irish community in most corners of the world, but you know what I mean? It can be sometimes a little even more difficult for us if we're further away.
It can, of course. You just want to be, you just want to be close to your loved ones and friends, and try and help any way you can. And yeah, there hasn't been a lot of sleep this couple of nights, to be honest. It's the same with all the Creeslough community, and I guess Donegal people. Yeah. It's awful.
So you're in Brisbane and you wanted to do something for your hometown of Creeslough. You started a online fundraiser.
That's right, Greg. myself and my wife were feeling helpless over here, and we thought we'd come up with a GoFundMe page just to try and contribute something. Going back to my late father who passed away, Ben McFadden, there in April past, he was, Creeslough was a big thing to him, and I always thought, after his passing, I really need to try and contribute something, but never did I think that fundraising would be required for such unimaginable circumstances. We set up the GoFundMe page, and we're absolutely overwhelmed by the response, Greg. We just when I initially set it up, I set the goal to 20 grand, and I thought to myself it was like maybe a bit too much. I was going to drop it back to 10 grand. I didn't want to put pressure on families and what have you. And 24 hours later, we were at 130k, and I just couldn't believe it, and so delighted with the response, and can't thank the people enough.
And am I correct in saying that it's over €250,000 now that has been raised through people's generosity?
That's correct. It has. I've just checked there now, not that long ago, and I think it's up over €250,000. So absolutely, I just cannot thank the people enough, and I'm just so glad to be able to contribute something, being so far away.
And this obviously will be used to support people. We know it can't take anything away, Jared, but what it hopefully can do is to help people to cope with the reality, the financial side of things moving forward, and that's where the help comes from, isn't it?
Exactly, Nick. As you said, all the money in the world can't help the deceased and injured, and the pain and suffering that all these families are feeling. But I really hope that with these funds, it can bring some sort of peace to the people when the dust settles. Regarding the funds, a question that everybody's, I guess, asking, and which is very important, is how they're going to be allocated. I'm going to liaise with the Creeslough Community Association and sort of discuss the needs of the community as we move forward together through this awful time. And it will go directly to assisting the families of the victims and to those who've been injured. And there's going to be medical bills, funeral expenses, loss of income, ongoing physical and mental health support. This is what it's.
And Jared, you'll have to get a team. What you suggest now is get a team together to administer it that would be able to sort of. Exactly.
Yes.
There'll be time for that. At this moment, it's the fundraising drive.
Exactly. We're just keen to keep the push on it now, and hopefully we can keep increasing, and every penny counts, no matter how big or small. It'll all help. It'll help some way,
I think too, in a way, you talk about helping. So many people feel helpless in that they want to be able to do something. The amount of people that wanted to supply food and water or labour or machinery or, workmen and women. But obviously at that point, things had moved on and that helped. So in other words, this is an opportunity if people feel a bit helpless and they want to help those directly affected by this.
Yes.
The families of the deceased, as you say, those with injuries. In some cases, those people will face significant bills and have a long road to recovery. What is the easiest way to find the GoFundMe, Jared?
Well, I've got it. It's all over Facebook. I think at the minute that's probably the easiest way to find it. It's on LinkedIn. It's like the Donegal Daily, Donegal Live. It's just everywhere at the minute, which is brilliant. And I think it should be easy found that way.
Okay, Jared, that's well done. And thank you for speaking to us this morning where we are. In any case.
I'll just add one thing before I go, Greg. Like once again, just thanks to the people. Like this would not be possible without the generous donations from our own community members in Creeslough, like our expats throughout the world. You know, even donations from people that don't even have any connections, but yet feel compelled in some way to donate, and it's just unbelievable. And I'd also just like to give my sister Angela and James McFadden and Jared and Martina Ferry in London that both them couples have went above and beyond to help me get the word out across the globe. So thanks to everyone, and we'll keep up the good work, and let's hope this can help the pain of the people.
All right, Jared, take care of yourself. Thanks very much indeed. That's Jared McFadden speaking to us from Brisbane in Australia. He, of course, a native family. His family a native of Creeslough. Over 250,000 raised. Well done to Jared and everyone who contributed to it. Just to let you know that a vigil will take place on Coldaff Green tonight at 7:30 p.m. So that's some information for you. Vigil in Coldaff Green tonight at 7:30 p.m.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
At On Post, we believe in giving you more power over how you bank. That's why AIB and Bank of Ireland customers can now lodge and withdraw money at any of our 900 post offices across Ireland 6 days a week. That's right. Your bank is in your post office for personal and business banking alike, meaning you can bank wherever you live or work. Visit your local post office or onpost.com/everydaybanking. On Post, your money for your world. Allied Irish Banks plc and Bank of Ireland are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Don't just do okay in your career. Do great at Allstate. Don't settle, soar. Don't procrastinate. Innovate. Don't do mediocre. Do magnificent. At Allstate. Great work. Great life. Great people. Where great opportunities await. Search Allstate NI Careers today.
Listen up, pet lovers. Feed your pets for less at Pet Value Buncrana. Get Burns dog food 20% off. James' well-beloved dog food 15 kg was €73.80, now only €60. Whiskas 40 pouch cat food only €16. Whiskas 7 kg complete cat food only €20. Get more value at Pet Value. St Mary's Road, Buncrana. Open 7 days a week. Find us on Facebook.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Donegal County Council would like to remind farmers in the county of the following key messages as autumn and winter approaches. Land spreading of slurry to be completed by the 15th of October. Farmyard manure cannot be applied to land after the 1st of November. Check and repair gutters and downpipes to minimise soiled water in yards. Ensure that any effluent or soiled water generated is directed to appropriate storage tanks. There should be no direct runoff of soiled water from farm roadways to waters. Play your part in keeping Donegal clean and green.
Keep out the cold this winter and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure Main Street, Letterkenny. Women's clothing from your favourite sports brands. Nike, Under Armour and Adidas. Nike Performance quarter zips, tees and vests with matching Nike Pro shorts and tights. Nike Yoga range just arrived. Tees, bra tops and tights offering you support during your workout. New jackets, hoodies and tights helping you to look the part and play the part. In store and online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
It might be too early to talk about Christmas, but now is the right time to order furniture at McGinley's Furniture Letterkenny if you want it before the decorations go up. Maybe it's a new Irish-made suite, a beautiful dining set, or a luxurious new bed. Whatever you have in mind, there's a great selection in stock for immediate delivery, or to order for a guaranteed pre-Christmas delivery. Visit McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny. McGinley's, with great furniture for every room.
So you're saying mental health difficulties can be smaller things?
Yeah.
Like trouble sleeping?
Yeah.
Or if I'm always stressed, like?
Yeah.
Or often anxious?
They're all part of your mental health.
Thought those were separate.
Nope. They're all connected.
Hey, how do you know all this anyway?
Ah, sure, I've been there myself.
Anxiety, ongoing stress, low mood or trouble sleeping, they're all part of your mental health. Make the connection and find support that can help at yourmentalhealth.ie from the HSE.
Attention all pet lovers and owners. Gary's Pet World Letterkenny is open 7 days per week, offering the very best value on all pet foods, accessories, grooming and care products. Call in and let our staff help you spoil your pet today. You will be amazed by the range of product for all pets, with exceptional value on all leading brands. Alternatively, you can browse and buy online at petworld.ie and we will deliver to your home.
Don't know why she's leaving.
Joe Gallagher Entertainment presents Chris Norman, the original voice of Smokey, returns to Donegal on the 30th of October to the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Tickets on sale from the Mount Errigal Hotel reception, Joe Gallagher Entertainment office and Ticketmaster.ie.
Okay, just some messages coming in so far today. Just to let you know, by the way, sorry, there's been a change of time for the vigil in Culdaff. It's on the village green. It still is there tonight. It's been rescheduled though for 8:15, so it's no longer 7:30. So if you were intending to attend the vigil tonight in the village green in Culdaff, the time now is 8:15. So hopefully anyone who was going to that has heard that. Morning, Greg. On these difficult times for the people of Creeslough, maybe they can get a little bit of strength from the overwhelming support they're getting from all around the world. This little tight community has captured the heart of people worldwide. I feel that Father John Joe, along with so many others, are doing their best to keep this community strong. May God stay by their side and give them strength, knowing that everyone in Creeslough are in the thoughts and prayers of so many. And I think it's just important that we retain that, because there's difficult times ahead after our loved ones have been laid to rest and all. It's very important that we're still there for people. No words will ever express the sadness of Creeslough. Such an awful tragedy, says this caller. My thoughts and prayers are with everyone involved. Massive thank you to all the emergency services and to all the locals for all the tremendous work that they did. They are all heroes. I think Daniel O'Donnell's version of Cutting the Corner around Creeslough would be a very appropriate song at this sad time. Thank you, Greg. A very sad show this morning. Please don't forget these families. After all the loved ones are laid to rest, these families have this tragedy for the rest of their lives while the rest of us get on with our own lives. God bless every single one of them living and the dead. May God put his arms around each and every one of them and protect them forevermore. And although my heart goes out to all the bereaved and injured in Creeslough, and especially the Lafferty family and all they've done for Creeslough over the years. God bless them. And indeed, I mentioned them this morning and thought important to do so. Okay. We are on the way to news. Stay right where you are. We'll maybe come back after the news with a piece of music.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today. Tune in this Tuesday to the Community Garda information slot, on air after 10 a.m. on the 9 till noon show in association with Sheridan Security Systems. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
The Western Health and Social Care Trust in Northern Ireland is recruiting for Band 5 and 6 neonatal staff nurses at the Southwest Acute Hospital, Enniskillen. Vacancies are now available for experienced neonatal nurses and for nurses wanting to develop a career in this specialist area. We're planning the first Northern Ireland FICARE unit and welcome those with experience or an interest in the model. If you're not currently registered with the Nursing and Midwifery Council, the Trust will support you through this process. To apply or find out more, visit jobs.hscni.net. Be proud, be part of it.
Hurry! The Furniture Show NI ends this weekend. Your last chance to save with massive discounts from leading brands in furniture and interiors. From sofas, beds, flooring and design. CFC have it all reduced in their biggest sale. Don't miss the Furniture Show NI exclusively at CFC Interiors Campsie, Derry.
Are you frequently asking others to speak slowly, clearly and loudly? Is listening to the TV or radio becoming harder? If your hearing is affecting your everyday life, Connect Hearing are here to help. Our clinics in Letterkenny and Dunloe are open Monday to Friday, where you can avail of our hearing test, wax removal and repair services. Take that first step to better hearing. Call us today on 07491 13296. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Tourism businesses have a brand new mark of employer excellence, driven by the employee's voice. The Employer Excellence Programme recognises employers who consistently create better workplaces for their employees. Attract and retain top talent. Shine the spotlight on your business. The Employer Excellence Programme. Learn more at falterireland.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.eu.
Today will be partly cloudy with some sunny spells and a few passing showers. Feeling quite cold. Temperatures today 11 to 13 degrees and a moderate westerly wind. It is the 9 till noon show for this Monday morning. Stay with us, another hour to come, but first let's get a news update. And we say good morning now once again to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The parents of 14-year-old Leona Harper, one of the 10 who lost their lives in the explosion in Creeslough, have this morning thanked those involved in the recovery of their daughter. After the explosion on Friday afternoon, Donna and Hugh had a painful wait as they were told that their daughter was trapped in the building, but also that there was a possibility she had been removed to hospital. Leona's body was one of the last removed from the site. Donna on the 9 till noon show earlier this morning paid tribute to those on the scene. Her father, Hugh, meanwhile spoke of the special person Leona was. Dolores Gallagher, the aunt of Jessica Gallagher, told Greg today of the love Jessica had for Creeslough. She thanked the local community for their support during this time. Jessica was due to start a new job in Belfast today. Well, the bodies of the victims of the Creeslough explosion are slowly returning to their families as plans are made for the funerals. 24-year-old Jessica Gallagher was first to return to the village last night as hundreds lined the road from Letterkenny with candles. Her funeral will take place tomorrow morning in Creeslough. The funeral of 49-year-old Martin McGill will take place there tomorrow afternoon, while 48-year-old James O'Flaherty will be laid to rest on Wednesday in Derrybeg. Books of condolence will be opened in Derry and Belfast later. Foyle MLA Mark Durkin says it's important people across the island of Ireland rally around those impacted by the tragedy. An Post, meanwhile, is paying tribute to staff working at the post office in Creeslough. It has put in place alternative post office services at Kilmacrennan Post Office, which will be available from 11 o'clock this morning. A Creeslough Community Support Fund has been set up by An Post in conjunction with the Irish Red Cross to help people affected by last Friday's tragic events. A man's body has been found in Maharorty on Friday afternoon. Gardaí say they attended an incident that occurred in the Maharorty area. A man was pronounced dead at the scene. His body was removed to Letterkenny University Hospital, where a post-mortem was due to take place. And police in Derry say they are concerned for the safety of a teenager who has been missing since Friday last. Ryan Moore was last seen in the Gallia area of the city at around 6:30. He's believed to have been wearing a grey Adidas tracksuit and a grey night coat. If anyone has any information, they are asked to contact police on the non-emergency number 101. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Okay, Michaela, a caller says, I know you don't necessarily want compliments, but Highland have been exceptional again. You really are the heart of Donegal and just have the finger on the pulse of all things that are happening in our county. The compassion you've shown in particular has been remarkable, but I know... thank you very much indeed. We are the community, though. You know, I mean, that's the way I see it anyway. We wouldn't be here really effectively without the community is what I'm trying to say. Rest in peace, says another listener, to the 10 beautiful souls who passed away on Friday, and best wishes to those in hospital. Indeed, we join with you in those remarks. There have been so many leaders in the very tragic circumstances in Creeslough over the weekend, but I have to call out Father John Joe Duffy as well. He's an exceptional man who is also leading this terrible situation and who also has had a tough few days, weeks and months ahead. God bless Father John Joe. Indeed, he is a remarkable man. I've always held Father John Joe Duffy in high regard, and even more so. He was there at the most difficult time, comforting people at the worst time of their lives, and showed amazing strength there most of the night on Friday, then up on Saturday to deliver what must be the most difficult mass he's ever had to deliver. You have to look after yourself, but also Father John Joe has to look after a community as well. And I have no doubt, and people can have their different views on religion, and we all do, and that's all perfectly fine, but I have no doubt Father John Joe's faith and his connection with God has given him the strength to sort of keep going through these last couple of days. A caller says, listening to Leona's parents just broke me up. They were so brave to be able to come on air and talk like that. Absolutely amazing. And the reason they did, before I read that on, it was clear they wanted to thank people in their grief and with their loss and still waiting to get their baby home. They wanted to thank the people that helped to bring Leona back to them. And that's what's truly amazing. But the listener goes on to say their gorgeous little girl is their angel now and will give them strength to get through this. Having lost a brother in an explosion in the past, I know the pain of them siblings and my heart is with them. But I don't know the pain as a parent losing a child. I'll be praying hard for you all, them parents, siblings and other family members and friends. You'll never walk alone. Greg, we are so very lucky to have the first responders that we have. My thoughts and prayers are both with these families and to the community of Creeslough. All right, we're going to give to you the coverage today after we take a short break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Massive stock clearance promotion now on at Hegarty's Home Interiors, Buncrana. See the best selection of sofas, beds and sliding robes, all at unbeatable prices with free delivery included. Our best sale items include 4'6" bed set, mattress base and headboard was €499, now €379 for the lot. Get an extra €100 off any recliner suite, electric or manual. See the best selection and the best priced sliding robes in Ireland, with lots more offers throughout the store. Hegarty's Home Interiors, Buncrana. Great furniture, always better prices.
There's only one thing as good as a TUI holiday, and that's looking forward to one. So get next summer sorted and secure your TUI holiday today. Choose beach, lakes and cruise breaks across a wide range of destinations, including Mexico, direct from Dublin. Plus all your favourites like holiday villages, Splash World resorts and our own TUI Blue hotels. Secure now with low booking deposits and thousands of free child places. That's next summer's holiday sorted. TUI. Live happy. T's and C's apply.
You know what I love about Letterkenny Shopping Centre?
Let me guess. Great women's wear, fashion shopping?
Close.
Well then, Tesco's offers or McGettigan's coffee and pastries, the latest magazines, cosmetics or health foods?
Closer.
Okay, free parking, late night shopping Thursday and Friday, gifts, homewares, phones, shoes, kitchen gadgets, jewellery.
Okay, closer still.
Okay. What do you love about Letterkenny Shopping Centre?
It's all under one roof and right on my doorstep.
Letterkenny Shopping Centre, so much choice. Open 7 days. Find us on Facebook or visit letterkennysc.com.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Patterson's The Hall Lifford, one of Ireland's largest kitchen and interior showrooms. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Kitchens, beds, mattresses and furniture all under one roof. 50% off our ex-display kitchens. Everything you need to make a house a home. At Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors, The Hall Lifford.
Just some information for you now. The Cayley in Fanavolte Community Hall tomorrow evening is cancelled. There's a vigil at the car park beside McElhenny's in Ballybofey tonight at 7 p.m. You're invited to bring a candle. Another caller says, absolutely devastating, unbelievable how quickly life can change. Treasure every moment with loved ones. Absolutely heartbreaking listening to the stories on the show this morning. Love and prayers to all affected with this terrible tragedy. God bless.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
At An Post, we understand that living leaves a mark, and we want to leave one we're proud of. That's why we became the world's first postal company with zero-emission deliveries in every major city, ensuring no nasty tailpipe emissions for you and your community. And launched our free Money Manager budgeting tool for current account customers, giving you the power to set and stick to budgets and much more. Living leaves a mark. Together, let's leave one we're proud of. An Post, for your world. For more info, visit onpost.com/sustainability. An Post is authorised by the Minister for Finance to provide payment services and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland in the provision of such services.
Okay, just to let you know that Letterkenny CDP are holding a vigil tonight. It's at 7 p.m. in the Market Square in Letterkenny, if you wish to go along to that. Joining me in studio now is the Creeslough Village pharmacist, Fergus Brennan. Fergus, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. How are you keeping?
Thank you, Greg. I'm okay, thank you. I've just left Creeslough this morning. I've been there every day since Friday, so obviously, like everybody, I'm still in complete shock and disbelief at the scale of this tragedy, and trying to come to terms with what has happened in the community and what, I suppose, in the nature of our role in the community, in healthcare with the local GP, also preparing ourselves for the days and the weeks and months ahead when I suppose this long, slow and painful journey really starts for those families who tragically lost loved ones, the injured and everybody directly affected.
And like others, in speaking to you, Fergus, you know, you're speaking here and I think giving a valuable voice in terms of, you know, trying to relate to the wider public what the community is feeling, but also this is a personal situation to you, and this is what this awful tragedy was. It's personal to us here.
Absolutely. It's in our case, I mean, we have a team of 4. When the accident happened, and I've said this in previous interviews, Martin McGill, who was a dear customer of ours, his mum was ringing frantically looking for him, and that's how our understanding of the scale of the tragedy started for us. But we also were worried about who we knew. Just we're part of the community, our team are local, and we had that immediate worry in the first hour and a half if somebody belonging to us might have been caught up in this. And you've heard this said so often, we all knew these 10 people and their families. We also knew Lafferty's. This was a place where we all called in several times a week. I personally was there at 3:15 in the post office and bought a sandwich in the supermarket on Wednesday. We all knew Tina, who lost her life tragically, just, you know, doing her work. The other 9 tragically losing their lives just out in the shop. So, yeah, it's at a personal level. I'm a pharmacist and I have a responsibility to stay calm and be there for people. We've had survivors in the shop. We've had some of the injured, you know, who've returned from hospital. We've seen people embrace each other before our eyes and see the human journey unfolding in the pharmacy. We're liaising closely with Dr. Stewart and Julie and the team in the health centre. But yeah, since Friday afternoon and this nightmare started to unfold, it's again heartbreak, disbelief, and a sense, this incredible sense of community, of support, resilience, and solidarity, but also knowing that the long, hard lift is still to be made now for the community.
Exactly, and that is so true. And just Paul Martin's mum too, you can just imagine in that moment just wanting to make sure, you know, your son was okay, and God,
yes, and
what
that's
she had to go through and is going through. It's just so sad.
Listening to Leona's parents this morning and hearing the stories, direct stories of those directly devastated by this will bring it all home to us. I mean, I think Creeslough is very quiet at the moment. In fact, there are probably more media on the street than local people. And I understand that people are at home. People are in their communities with their neighbours and their friends. As we do so powerfully in Donegal, they're getting ready for the sad goodbyes, funerals, wakes, and they're trying to make sense that this has happened to us at home behind closed doors. People are coming out in tremendous numbers to pray and come together in the churches and the vigils, and that's the way they're expressing solidarity with each other. But right now, over the next days and nights, there are some very difficult, sad and harrowing times to be endured by these families and by everybody close to them.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, with it being the local village pharmacy and being in the area, you would know also other people who very sadly lost their lives on Friday.
Yes, we actually have looked after the healthcare needs of 8 of this list of 10, and I can't talk about that. It's private, but as the pharmacy, you are embedded in the community, and we're the only pharmacy in Creeslough, so people call in for all of those kind of needs, and even for simple things, over-the-counter medicines, and even people maybe who'd not been in for prescriptions, I recognise as customers, maybe for toiletries. So we just looked at the list of photographs yesterday, and we realised we knew everybody, and I even found out that Jessica was a friend of my son's at school, and was in our home for his 18th birthday. And it turns out Donegal is a small place, and as time develops, you realise you knew people who knew people are connected to people. But all of this list of 10, Martina, Jessica, Leona, obviously precious little Shauna, her dad Robert, Catherine and her son James, Hugh Kelly, Hughie, James O'Flaherty, who'd moved to the area, and of course Martin, were all known to us. Yes.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because, we've seen these things like this happen elsewhere, where a terrible event has happened and there is a loss of life, and we watch on with great sympathy and what have you. I don't know if surreal's the right word, but to be living in it now that it's here, it's us now. It's.
I think the scale
is strange. I don't know what the word is.
The scale of this in such a small place is truly unprecedented, and I think the country and the world understand that, looking in at the size of the community and the number of people lost. And I think the fragility of life, that this could happen in a local petrol station shop, resonates around the world as something, a freak accident that can happen anywhere. And then for all of us in the community, living, working in the community, we know these people and we know that place. That sense of there for the grace of God go I is so profound that it's almost as if there are survivors who are in the shop, there are survivors who just left the shop, and then there are all those people who are in Lafferty's just up too close to the time, who feel that sort of survivor guilt perhaps.
No,
and the whole community will feel that. And you ask me how I'm feeling, and I feel that it could so easily have been me. That's how personal it is. Of course, it's not me. It's these 10 tragic souls who've lost their lives. But that sense of the fragility of life is profound. And I think that this experience, will resonate. Tragedies like this in communities do resonate for years to come. But it is personal to everybody in Clonmany or in Creeslough. And I mentioned Clonmany because in my role as a pharmacist, I've seen other communities hit by tragedies. I remember the Oma bomb tragedy, and 3 little boys from Buncrana lost their lives in 1998, and how Buncrana came together and how that community has, eventually healed. For those families, life is never the same. There was another multiple tragedy in Clonmany in the summer of 2010 when nine lives were lost. So sadly, as we know, life will go on for the rest of us, and communities in Donegal show tremendous resilience and solidarity, and Creeslough has that solidarity and unity, the unity of community in abundance. Creeslough is a very special place. I've been asked to speak on interviews and share the story, and I feel I am a Donegal man. I'm not truly Creeslough. I'm an adopted Creeslough man now. I feel a little self-conscious, and yet having seen how Donegal as a county comes together, when I think of the Oma bomb, I think of the tragedy in Kilmany, and there have been multiple other tragedies. This is really big. It's on a scale that is as big as ever has happened. I know that over time, people will heal and the community will perhaps be stronger in a different way. But right now, it's these 8 households, these 10 people that we must keep in mind, and the injured.
Between the church, the local athletics club, the GA club, just the general community spirit, as impossible as it seems right now, we'll find a way to move forward. There will be, in time to come, there will be things that will happen on the street, a celebration of sorts, but they will never forget. They will bring these people with them, but the community will recover, and it'll recover. It'll be different. It's changed forever, but that's the strength, and the organisations are there, and the people are there, and as unimaginable as that may seem right now, and those who have lost people, they'll be treated with respect and included, but a way will be found, because that's what we do, and that's what we have to do.
Absolutely, and I know you were in Creeslough over the weekend, and I was there all weekend. I was there till late on Friday night, and this story has been told already. We heard Jerry Lane explaining how the emergency services had this remarkable response. The local community, the local men who came from all corners to do whatever they could on the site after the accident, the local construction companies. I mean, you just saw such heroism, support and love. So we've seen it. The church, Father John Joe, carries a heavy load. He's had to keep the community together. He's had to give people hope in the darkest of times. And I saw Father John Joe at 7 o'clock this morning doing a TV interview, and I know he's exhausted. So he's remarkable. And
because you have to find the words. Because
exactly, the GAA club, the health services. There's a sense of helplessness. People have been messaging me. People want to help from all around the county, from all around the country. And that help will be needed in time in ways that we can't fully understand.
For sure.
But right now, for this week in particular, it's a quiet time when actually maybe the community and the families bereaved need space.
Yeah, for sure. And we're incredibly conscious, we have been all weekend.
And if I could say one thing, just because of my role in healthcare, those heroes who were out on site on Friday night and all through Saturday, so many local people have seen things, as they helped that maybe are very traumatic. And I would commend, because men in particular find it difficult to reach out for help, and the mental health of the whole community will be hugely affected by this. But can I strongly recommend that men in particular who are not great at getting help might avail of the psychosocial response unit that the HSE have put in place in Creeslough in the doctor's surgery. It's an open door policy. Contact the doctor's surgery or the pharmacy. We'll put them in touch, because there must be people who are just trying to come to terms with this huge trauma and will need help even now, just to keep it together over the next number of weeks and months.
All right. Well, best wishes to you, Fergus, and your team, and you'll be there. Your team will be there.
We will.
And we appreciate your time this morning. I really do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And well done.
And our deepest sympathies, deepest heartfelt sympathies to all those who've been lost and their families.
Indeed. We join you in that sentiment. Thank you for that. Gary Martin is Director of Services, Economic Development, Information Systems and Emergency Services with Donegal County Council. An important title and well earned, Gary, but it was all hands on deck, yours included, in the aftermath of this awful tragedy, Gary.
Yeah, Greg, it was a was an unprecedented event, obviously, from our experience in Donegal. Again, a lot's been said about the great response, and I'd just like to concur with that. The range of emergency services, including our own fire service, the HSE, the National Ambulance Service, the Gardaí, our colleagues from Northern Ireland, and indeed, last but certainly not least, the huge input from the local community and the generosity of spirit and courage that they showed, particularly in the early hours immediately following the event, and what they did and how they responded. Everybody did what they could, as best as they could, and in as dignified a manner as they could, given the challenges that we're presenting.
Yeah, and you and your team working along with the other emergency services following a plan. What was remarkable to me, it was almost as if a impromptu plan kicked in with the community in terms of, machinery, trailers, supplies, water, sustenance, holding the line, traffic management, people obviously maybe with some background in marshalling, but it was just the speed with which there was an organisation among the community as well. I found that really remarkable, Gary.
Well, look, we train for major emergency events and major incidents, but, to be frank, what that does really, it allows you to develop the relationships with those guys and those organisations, and you know them personally, to allow you to have quick conversations and quick decisions on days like Friday and Saturday. And that's what came about. Everyone has their own particular skill set, and we would have met as a coordinating group, the three PRAs, and decided what we were going to do and when and how we were going to approach that. Then basically applied it through the different teams that were on the ground. The last thing that you want to do is to tell a local community that they're not needed. They certainly were needed, and we wanted them to assist us, and that was integrated into it as best as we possibly could, and obviously with a mind to ensure that the safety of everyone involved, both civilians and responders, was being looked at as well, because it was a very, very challenging work environment, as everyone can see and know at this stage. And whilst we were really anxious to rescue and recover as quickly as possible, we were also minded that we wanted to do that without putting anyone in any unnecessary harm's way. And the instability of the building as we worked through it was obviously a challenge, and we brought in some specialist advice to assist us in relation to that with one of the council structural engineers, and that was really, really useful as we went through Friday evening, Friday night, and into Saturday morning, and as we uncovered more of the site.
We heard from Fergus Brennan there about the importance of, looking after our well-being for the community that responded to that, our mental well-being. But with all the training in the world, Gary, you and your teams and the rest of the emergency services are only human. It's going to take a wee while to get over this one, isn't it, Gary? We'll never get over it, but I think you understand the tone of my question. It's been tough on everyone.
Yeah, look, everyone, and Fergus said this in his piece there. Our primary thoughts at the minute are with the victims, their families, their friends, and indeed the community of Creeslough. And anything that we can continue to do, both as a council and indeed any of the responding agencies, we stand there fully with them to help them in doing that. Alongside that, obviously, we have a duty of care to our own teams who have been working on all of this, and I know that both the HSE, the Gardaí and ourselves have formal types of support. We have critical incident stress management supports available for all of our teams, to avail of. And we also have peer supports, people, in each of our fire station areas who are tasked with working and talking to their colleagues, and I suppose giving them an opportunity to share. As Fergus would say, look, and we are bad. Men tend to be quite bad at sharing and opening up their feelings. It's not a bad thing. We're talking to our stations today, actually, and encouraging everybody to have conversations about it. And look, I'm the same as everybody else. We all need to I suppose, manage that and deal with it in our own respective ways. Okay. And we will do that. And look, we'll continue to do our work as well. But today, this week, it's about Creeslough. It's about the people and the focus of this particular incident, and the poor families and friends and neighbours that are trying to come to terms with this this is just
Gary, I'm not sure what
tragedy.
your role or the council's role, but just in terms of obviously the site has to be secure, maybe some demolition may have to take place. In terms of just traffic management, do you have any details in that regard, or is there anything that the public need to hear, Gary, or are we still working on that?
No, well, we handed the site over to the Gardaí late afternoon on Saturday to facilitate their investigation. At the moment, the site is still an area investigation, and the road through Creeslough village is blocked off. There's a minor diversion via the Carrigarth road, bringing you from one side of the village to the other. The Gardaí will notify us whenever they're completed their works, and they will, I would imagine, then hand the site back to the owners of the site again. We'll open up the road then in accordance with any safety measures that may be required.
Okay, when that information is available, of course, we'll work together to get that out there. Thanks, Gary. I appreciate your time this morning, and well done to you and everyone involved.
Thanks, Greg. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Gary Martin, Director of Services, Economic Development, Information Systems and Emergency Services with Donegal County Council there. Right, okay. Back with you with more in a wee moment.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Congratulations to our Super Value suppliers and Food Academy producers who won 119 awards at this year's prestigious Blas na HÉireann Awards, like our Super Value Signature Taste Hereford Irish Fillet Steak by Keepak, winning gold, and our Food Academy producer Dromulli Boxty from County Cavan, also winning gold. See supervalue.ie for our full range of winners.
Wild Atlantic Way adventures await you this autumn with a midweek escape to the luxury Radisson Blu Hotel and Spa Sligo from just €125 with complimentary breakfast each morning. Indulge in afternoon tea overlooking Sligo Bay. Relax with a treatment at the spa. Enjoy a delicious meal in the brasserie. Sit back and relax in Waves Bar or surround yourself with the best of Sligo's outdoor pursuits right on your doorstep. Book now at radsligo.com for the perfect autumn midweek escape.
There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Bingo Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €1,100 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
There's a lot to consider when buying a used car. So consider this. The Audi Approved Plus range gives you unrivaled reassurance. A 12-month warranty and roadside assistance, age and mileage verification, all original Audi parts for repairs and replacements. And that's all after our rigorous 110-point check. Audi Approved Plus, living progress in every detail. Contact your Audi dealer and choose your used car today.
At Cooney's Home Interiors, we pride ourselves on offering you the very best in choice, quality and value on all home furnishings. Treat your home with a visit to Cooney's today and choose from our large range of suites, tables, beds, not to mention our large selection of home accessories. Our motto is, if you see it, you can buy it, and we will deliver it to your door. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Style and perfection at incredible value.
Are you ready for a role or a career with one of Ireland's leading food companies? Due to a further developed business base in Donegal, Avonmore Milk are looking for a milk agent to service established shops and a door-to-door customer base in the Letterkenny, Ramelton and Ballybuffet areas. To apply for this exciting role, forward your CV to pburns@glanbia.ie. That's PBYRNES @glanbia.ie. Or call 087 2533 054.
Nutrius Winter Beef Feed offer, directly supported by the Arrivo Fodder Support Fund, is now available at your local Homeland store. Buy 10 bags of Nutrius Super Beef Gold ATP or Nutrius Max Maize Mix, get one free. The Nutrius Beef ATP pack enhances animal performance through maximising rumen efficiency. T's and C's apply. Contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrius.ie for full product details.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Hiya, I'm Patter the Piggy Bank. Come here, will I tell you what has me tickled pink? We just got a home energy upgrade with significant government grants from SEAI for attic and wall insulation. You name it. Now we can huff and puff and blow outside and we don't feel a thing. Take it from me, with these savings, you'll be on a pig's back in no time. Search SEAI Home Energy Upgrade to reduce your use and your energy bills and discover a new world of comfort.
Supported by the Government of Ireland.
Joe Gallagher Entertainment presents Chris Norman, the original voice of Smokey, returns to Donegal on the 30th of October to the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Tickets on sale from the Mount Erigal Hotel reception, Joe Gallagher Entertainment office and Ticketmaster.ie.
Okay, John McCardle is Area Director of Mental Health Nursing in Donegal, and he's taken time out of his morning to speak to us. Thank you for that, John.
Thanks, Greg. Hello, how are you?
It's good to have you with us. Now, you are also a member, or are a member of the psychosocial team on the ground. Okay, so what services are available for people and where, John?
So we've been putting in a range of services as the week goes on. We will be available to people in Letterkenny also through the National Counselling Service. So we are looking at a number of different groups. We've put individual support people in for the families of the deceased, and we're linking in with them so that they can be identified and have a fast access route into services if they need it. We're looking at, for the employees of the service, there's the Employee Assistance Programme, which has been running in Letterkenny University Hospital yesterday and will continue to be available to staff. Throughout the coming weeks and months, we will also have priority assessments available for people wishing to come in to get support through the mental health services. And we've put out a contact number for the GPs so that they can contact us directly and identify those people, and we can make sure that those assessments are prioritized and those people can be fast-tracked to the appropriate services for their needs.
Mm. So
we're also linking with
continue. I beg your pardon, John. You're also linking with.
We're also linking with the GEA and Letterkenny Rugby Club, because obviously they're two large organisations that are significantly and directly impacted by this incident. And over the coming weeks, we'll be putting in place supports for the people, the trainers there, for the club members and for the community in general through those organisations as they get the sense of the need for that. So that's something which we will be assessing ongoing and putting in place structures around that. I think your previous callers there also alluded to helping the helpers, which I think is going to be very important to us. And I think it's an important message that's been put out today, because some of those are part of organisations such as the fire service or the ambulance service, and they'll be easily contacted. But many of those people were just members of the community who were spending the night waiting with relatives or part of the recovery operation. And they may not be so easily identified. So we do need to get the message to them that they need to get to their GP, and the GP will signpost them into either the mental health services or maybe the National Counselling Services, who have opened their doors as well to anyone in relation to this incident, irrespective of what that is, to get them immediate supports in relation to what they're experiencing in the days and weeks ahead, you know.
Yeah, what is your message to people, John? Obviously, you know, if people feel they need to need help, that they will come forward when they're ready. But also, we want to make sure that we don't triage ourselves, so to speak. You know, there's a lot of people that, you know, witness some terrible things or have been greatly impacted by it. Would you suggest that anyone who feels they fall into that category do reach out at some point, just to check on their welfare, rather than maybe relying on themselves to do so? Because these things can bubble under the surface too, can't they? So I think it would be positive as many of people could sort of not face it, but discuss it and see where they're at as is possible, John.
I think that's very important message. I think, you know, there are normal things that are happening, but they're not normal for these people because they don't experience this every day. So they may have ruminating thoughts going over in their head. They may have difficulty sleeping. They may have flashbacks if there's something specific that they've seen, and that type of thing. And it's important that they talk to the people around them, that they don't withdraw into themselves, that they share those experiences with people around them and take their direction in terms of getting help. I would certainly be advising them to go to their GP and have a conversation there. The GP may be able to reassure them what is normal and what may be starting to stray into the less normal and something that it might need help with. And the GP services will be well versed at redirecting those then who do need help to our services or the counselling services for further support and assistance in relation to that. But I would be very clear, the message is come forward is the most important thing to do, you know.
John, you or I, I'm sure in our lives at some point, and many people listening will have got bad news, you know, a shock to the system, and you have to work through that and process that. Would this be even perhaps maybe more of a trigger given the scale of it, given the unexpected nature of it? Could it have? Does it mean that we have to keep a particular eye on our mental health if we've been directly affected by this? You know, given the scale of it and the unusual elements of it.
Absolutely, Greg. I think the scale of this is almost unprecedented within the Donegal area, although we do, as other callers have said, have experience of tragedy before. But I think it's very important that people look after their mental health, that they take a little bit of time out, you know, and allow people to talk to them and listen to them. Take the time out to just notice whether or not they're having sort of strong experiences of stress, because stress can be very tiresome, and to look after their needs, keep their diet good, keep their sleep pattern good. Don't try to do too much at this time, because it's important that we take time to look after ourselves. And I think also to be very clear that there's no one size fits all here. Everybody will be experiencing the events of the last few days and the coming week in very different ways, and will react in very different ways. So no one out there should feel that, you know, someone else is doing okay and I should be doing okay. That's not the case. So that's important.
And also linked to the scale of this, the wider community, those that maybe are not directly affected, who will have had a heavy heart all weekend, but then maybe won't know when to sort of try and step out of that a little bit, if you know what I mean, to sort of feel that it's okay for them to look forward to something, or to feel happy about something, or you know, is there a message for them? Again, it's not a one size fits all, but do you understand where I'm coming from, that people, you know, might feel that they're getting not stuck in it because it's such a big issue, but those the general wider community, what's your advice?
No, I think the advice to the general wider community is to give themselves permission to move on. I think that's important, but I think that will probably come individually as people move through the events of the next few weeks, and the grieving process will move forward for all of those. And there may be individuals there as well, Greg, who have had previous trauma, and the experience of this will reawaken feelings that they've had before. And maybe they need some help with it now at this stage that they weren't ready at that time. And it's important for them to come forward too. So there's a whole range of issues there in that regard that I think we need to be clear about, you know.
Good, and I appreciate you going that far with me in relation to that. I just want a quick mention then, so people know where we're at in terms of the supports for families and those directly affected by this that are easy identifiable. Teams are there, contacts are being made. For those more difficult to identify, the more wider Creeslough and surrounding area population, contact your GP. I think there's some walk-in services available at the moment.
Well, the walk-in service has been available over the weekend and is down there in Creeslough today, and we will be assessing the need for that as we go along, because there's no point in having resources there if people don't feel comfortable using it, and therefore we target the resources where we can be most effective. But we are making up lists of people who might be critically affected by this, so we're trying to make sure that over the coming days and weeks that those people are checked back in with maybe several times to make sure that the opportunity is there for them to get the services they need.
All right. Look after yourself, John. Thanks for that. Okay. John McCaudle, Area Director of Mental Health Nursing in Donegal. Dr. Anya Keating is a consultant in ED in Letterkenny University Hospital. Anya, thank you so much for your time this morning, and thank you to you and everyone at the hospital for what you did over Friday and Saturday. I've been speaking to some people that were on site, never expecting something like this to happen, and a really traumatic experience for lots of people who were having to work very hard in the hospital, Doctor.
Thank you very much. I just want to begin today by offering my sincere condolences to the family and relatives and the community of Creeslough that were affected by this unforeseen tragedy that occurred on Friday afternoon. I just want to say thank you as well. You know, we work in the emergency department, and this is our role is to oversee emergency presentations. And on that Friday afternoon, when the call came in from Sean Murphy that there was a major incident in the Creeslough area, we had a great support from the whole hospital and the community themselves to allow us to do our job. An appeal went out to the community to give our department space as we did not know what we were expecting, and so we had to anticipate the worst and prepare for the worst as well. And we made sure that the right teams were assembled and coordinated to ensure that we could deliver the best care possible for the patients coming in. It really was a combined effort, and that just not only happens within the hospital, but also we have to pay tribute to the community services as well. Our colleagues in the general practice who have put on extra services to support the wider community area, not only in Creeslough, but around those areas as well. I know you're speaking to Mr. McArdle from the mental health services as well, who putting in great support. But also I know at scene, Jerry Lane was commanding and controlling the scene from a major incident perspective and giving that medical support, as well as the National Ambulance Service and the firefighters who were so courageous and brave in what they did, as well as the Civil Defence Force. And we also had great support from the Northern Irish emergency teams as well. So it really shows what an integrated approach it was, how a community can come together in a time of crisis. It's really restored my faith and in humanity and the good spirit that we have here in Donegal, and I couldn't be prouder to be from Donegal at this moment in time, even though it is such a sad and difficult time for everyone here in the county.
Yeah, and you mentioned the assistance of the public. I know I think it was the hospital manager and a colleague had to go into the waiting room and inform people of the situation, and then appeals were put out in asking people not to attend. The community accommodated that and stood up to that as well, which allowed you great people, to do what you do best, and that's to preserve life as best as possible.
Correct, and we're very, very appreciative of that. You know, when such an event occurs, you don't know what you're dealing with, but you have to anticipate the worst is going to happen, and that all your resources will have to go in to sustain the lives of those that are coming through. And that's what we did focus on that day. So anyone essentially, you know, Jerry Lane talked about it earlier, who can walk, you know, we use walk in are usually faring better than those potentially coming in who cannot walk. So our focus goes in on those patients. So we really do appreciate the public's support in this and allowing us to be able to do our job. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed, Dr.
Thank you very much.
Take care of yourself and best wishes
Take
to you
care.
and your colleagues. Okay, thank you. Right, okay. We're going to finish out with a piece of music, a song that many of you requested. You heard Dr. Keaton there talking about faith being restored, and through difficult times like this, maybe we can try and take some positives. Maybe, you know, if we've fallen out with people, maybe we can make contact with them and repair those bridges, repair those relationships. We live in divisive times. Maybe we can see what a community we are over the last while and try and apply that generally in our social discourse. And we can disagree and we can fall out and whatever, but, you know, there's so much more that unites us than divides us. So maybe even something as tragic as this, but it could be a catalyst for change or for repaired relationships, or to reaching out to that friend you haven't heard from some time, whatever it might be. Maybe that could be the help that you need if you're at a low point. But anyway, listen, we're going to leave you now. Thank you to all of you who listened and watched the programme and took part in it. We'll be back with you tomorrow at 9. In the meantime, look after yourselves. I hope you're all okay and you look after each other. And of course, we're keeping the families and the community of Creeslough very much in our minds. John Bresson will be coming up after the news at 12. But for me, Greg Hughes and the team of Caroline Orr and Donna Marie. And just one quick word, of course, because I appear maybe on the radio or on camera from Creeslough when we were doing some of the video stuff. We couldn't have done what we did at the weekend in terms of trying to get information out to the community if it wasn't for Caroline Orr, who worked her whole weekend researching and producing and putting things together, and also Oisin Kelly and Kevin Fury and Sean Quinn and others who helped as well. Okay, listen, we'll chat to you tomorrow.